Morning, Lexios, Raptor Freak here. It's Thursday, baby, and it's game 6 in the 6, baby. It's time for the Raptors to do the numerology report, and it's 6 in the 6. And that means it's the Raptors tonight. All right, listen, I want to take this very seriously, y'all, because listen, what happened on Monday was very dominant. Yes. Yes, the Sixers are broken. Yes, they continue to implode. We've heard Doc Rivers throw everybody under the bus in the last 2 days, whether it's his current players, whether it's his former players from long ago that he's blaming for his losses in the playoffs and stuff like Doc, man, it's not a good look. And I know if I was Sixers freak right now, I'd be very worried about why you're talking about your failures right now. It's almost like you're just lending the path to inevitability that you're going to fail in this series and you guys are going to make history and we're going to make history on the good side of the history. I want this to happen so bad, but also, once again, I'm a very wise Raptor fan that's been through all kinds of different situations where if we get too confident, this could be a problem. So we need to be absolutely treating this like you would handle a poisonous snake in your room. You need to be keeping it away and being real smart with how you handle it and take care of it in a way that you keep safety for yourself. You don't want that snake to get you all of a sudden and then you're dead. So that's what I'm saying right now. This is a crazy thing that we're doing this week. I want to complete this 4-game comeback after being down 0-3. I really want to do this because I feel like these guys can do it. And at this point, like I've said this week, Philadelphia is that guy who's laying on the ground, busted up with his head wide open, like just bleeding on the ground. I know that's not a very nice image, but that is pretty much what the Raptors have done to them because of Monday night. All right, good to see so many people here already this morning. We got Tom Duke. We got Darren. What's up, Darren? Good to see you, man. I'm really excited about working with Greg in the future. Jubstown Clink. We've been already messaging each other privately and talking about different things we're going to do. And Tom, you're saying that he got a message from Jack Armstrong? That Greg got a message from Jack Armstrong? That's fantastic. That honestly makes me think that he is watching us, that he is taking notes and hearing what maybe Jubstown Clink and the Raptor Freak are saying out here. Jack, we love you. You keep going, Jack. You're a badass if you watch this today. All right, Darren's saying, not going to lie, 3-0 was sad. 3. Yeah, Darren, I know we didn't see you for a little bit there. I know it may have been hard not to look at and stuff like that. You're on the difference of the Jakarta timeline, 12 hours off of us. And then, maybe you can miss some of those games that, you don't really want to see because how bad it started. Darren, the whole way that this series started really was the injuries and the different things. And the underlying sickness of Gary Trent Jr. just set it up for that. We were going to dominate them and beat their ass in this series if we had not gotten hurt right at the beginning. So I totally understand that. Darren, you can't be sad now. This year has been a success. We could lose tonight. Knock on wood, I don't think we will. We're going to have the home court, and I have no idea how Doc Rivers could try and game plan for tonight to fix all these problems that he has right now. Because this is the thing. As this series has gone on, we've gotten healthier and stronger, and they have gotten more hurt and more tired. And that's the big difference. Like this whole thing about Nick Nurse running them up and down like crazy minutes this whole season has built their endurance. And then on the flip side, you got them getting more and more hurt. Joel Embiid is more and more hurt. We can't expect him to be the top player that he's been in the past in this series in some ways. Very interesting. All right, let's see. Fan Chung is here. Funny how the U.S. media talks about losing the series instead of how the Raptors will make history. Yeah, they want to focus on Doc's failures at this point. I think Stephen A. Smith came out and said this week that if Doc Rivers loses this series, he should retire as a coach for good. That he gets fired by Philadelphia if they lose this series, that he needs to just fucking go and retire for good. That he shouldn't even be involved in coaching in the NBA because maybe the game has passed him by, and that's that. But yeah, very interesting stuff. And of course, they're going to do it from that slant and stuff like that. But, there are signs that we are going to start getting more of a positive light from the U.S. media and that we may be becoming something that may be different. There's a couple of storylines in this whole thing that make it very attractive for the NBA head office to have the Raptors do stuff. First of all, the comeback in itself is very exciting to NBA fans and interesting to them. There's a lot of people that hate James Harden, and they're very happy to see him fail. there's a lot of people that don't really like Doc Rivers, and they want to see him fail. And Joel Embiid, well, they like him, but also, it's kind of like, also. So it's very interesting that they are looking at it from that side. And then the other stuff is the Scotty Roy stuff, the Scotty Big Roy stuff. This man could be a superstar in this league, and they may be starting to plant the seeds for these kind of things. And also the other thing is this, guys, who do they want to play Miami in the second round? Who do you think between the two teams that are playing tonight here in Toronto, who do you think the NBA head office would rather go to Miami on Monday night and play Kyle Lowry and the Raptors? The Heat. I think I just answered the question. I said the Raptors, because that is such a marketing thing right there. You got a guy who just got traded from the team last year, his heart and soul. The NBA was not stupid and blind to not see the amazing atmosphere in the Toronto arena when Kyle Lowry returned a month ago. They are not blind to that kind of drama and that kind of thing. So even in that respect, it may be that they wanted Philadelphia to win the series, maybe possibly before, but now that the idea of the Raptors possibly coming back and then getting to face Miami in the next round, that is very attractive to the NBA head office. I'm going to bet you money right now that's very attractive, a Kyle Lowry versus his former team matchup. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. Once again, we got 2 eggs in the incubator, as I've been saying, and they got to hatch first. And the first one's going to hatch tonight, and we'll have to see if we're still live at the end of the night. Now, having a home court advantage and having a crazy-ass crowd tonight is super, super going to be a huge advantage for us. And I hope they come correct, just like they did in the last 2 home games. Even in that game at 2 o'clock on Saturday, the crowd was pretty good, even though the lower bowl wasn't filled for half of the game. And that pissed me off. And I really love that a lot of the media people this week, whether it's Jack Armstrong, Amy Audibert, Tim and Sid, they're all telling people to fucking get down to the game tonight. That none of this late shit, none of this fucking casually late, fashionably late bullshit. Go right on down there and get there early and go spend some money on concessions, because we had our building closed for half the year. And there's a certain amount of income that the MLSC did not get. And that also for these people that work there in the concession booths, they want their numbers to look good and stuff like that. So go to the game. If you go in the game tonight, I did not get a ticket. I'm going to stay home and go down there real early. And don't fuck around with it, because if you get down there early, you may see something special, like somebody getting a Rookie of the Year award or something like that. So it's real important, fans, that if you do have tickets tonight, and especially if you're in the lower bowl, don't fuck around. Get to the arena early. Everybody's saying that. All the media people are saying that, and we mean it. So just do it, please. If you're holding tickets, and if you're trying to get rid of tickets tonight, just give them to someone. If you cannot fucking sell them at one point, you just give them to someone if they need. If you're not going to be able to go or something like that, because we want this whole building to be filled up and jammed with loud fans tonight. That's what I am saying right now. All right, let's see what's going on here. Darren's saying, I just wanted to get my NBA pass money's worth. I can say these past 2 games gave it to him. Bravo, Darren. I mean, honestly, on Monday, that was just a glorious game in all kinds of ways. I mean, really, to do that, what they did on the court was just very interesting. And as I said in the last couple of days, they didn't just break the Sixers on their own home court, turn their home fans against them and everything. In some ways, they gonged the bell and saying, hello, positionless basketball is here, and everybody should be afraid. Paul Jones said that this week. He said a couple of things that are really super smart, Paul Jones. Good job, Jonesy. The first thing he said is that this thing that we're doing with positionless basketball in the last game is going to work against 80 to 90% of the rest of the league. Like, this is going to be transferable against a lot of teams in this league. That this kind of setup with all these long guys and athleticism and stuff, this is going to be destructive to not just the Sixers. This will be very difficult for most teams in the NBA. And that's going to be very interesting to see. And then Paul Jones said another thing that's very, very smart, and I want to echo it right now. That in every single playoff game, it wipes the slate clean. And just because we had this energy on Monday in Philadelphia, it's not guaranteed that we will have it again tonight, because these things don't transfer over from game to game. Once you start a whole new game with a new jump ball and everything, it's a whole other story to be written. But the Raptors can write a similar story to what was written on Monday if they do the basic things that they did on Monday. And that's the great thing. It's their bread and butter. It's what they've been training to do all season. The switches being really nice and suffocating, the just the energy output, the communication between the different defensive players on the Raptors, and all that kind of stuff. If they do it just like they did on Monday, they're going to get the exact same result tonight as they did on Monday night. But they have to put in the work. They have to initiate them as the aggressor, initiate them as the one who's winning 50-50, getting after 50-50 balls, initiate them as winning the boards battle. That's the kind of stuff they have to replicate, is just doing the work. That's basically what it is. They can't show up and feel good and think that it's just going to be an easy coast to doing this, because this is the thing. The Sixers are fighting against being humiliated, basically, at this point. And that's a dangerous thing in itself. Just like we told them, y'all should be worried about us, even though you're up 3-0, because we're very dangerous still. We need to look at it in the reverse in the same way right now, that Philadelphia, in some ways, it could be very dangerous because they're a little bit humiliated. They're a little bit scared, and they're playing for their lives in some ways. Like, even though we're up 3-2, in a lot of ways, a lot of experts look at us having the advantage for the rest of the series. And that is absolutely unheard of in the history of the NBA, that somebody would think that the way this series has gone at this point, that the team with the 2 victories in this series is actually in the driver's seat. And that's badass. That's a testament to, even like, in the game, there's runs where one team goes on an amazing run, then the other team goes on runs. Well, we're just on a major run as far as things. But like Jonesy said, sometimes it's a whole new game and not everything transfers over. So we need to be ready and just do the work. Now, there's a lot of things in our favor tonight. I've looked at the referees for tonight, and they are a fantastic crew for us tonight. I'm not going to lie, y'all. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. Tom Duke's saying Sixers have had sufficient time to rest. Nick Nurse has had time to be more thorough with his preparation. Listen, the Sixers have had time to rest. The Sixers have had time to do all kinds of stuff. But in the last couple of days, they've continued to implode. They've continued to turn on each other. In fact, the stuff that Joel Embiid's saying about telling Doc Rivers to tell Harden to shoot more, and then it's like indirect shot at James. And then, Doc has taken indirect shots at different people on the team too. And then the fans turning on them, and they really don't have any confidence in their team in some ways. Now they're kind of just like taking it as it goes. They're really, really hoping that their team can somehow, some way get one of these games as a victory. It probably won't be tonight. I'm going to tell you right now for sure, because the Raptors don't want to go out like that on their own court. But the Game 7 game is going to be the battle if we get to the Game 7 game. That is going to be the one where Philadelphia will really have the best chance to close it out. I completely agree with Charles Barkley. I think that, Toronto should win this game tonight by all intents and purposes, like with everything going their way in different ways and stuff like that. If I was Sixers fan, I would be looking forward to possibly seeing some progress against what we did on Monday. Like, if you guys can have a little bit of success in different ways against us, then that will be a good sign. But I think that and like I said all week, this is a lot of problems all at once. And I don't know if Doc has got either the ability to figure out what all to do to stop what the Raptors are doing now, or even having the personnel to do it. I've said this. These guys are not athletic enough to deal with the Toronto Raptors' athletic length and what we're doing now with the positionless scheme. There's too many guys on their team that are liabilities at this point. And even Joel Embiid is one of the biggest ones. Their biggest strength has turned into their biggest weakness in some ways, with Precious Achiuwa eating him alive. Like, when Precious sees him guarding him, it's a basket at this point. It really is a basket, because he's licking his lips and he's going for it and stuff like that. So, yeah, let's see what's up. Callie's here. Good to see Callie. All we have to do is run and be aggressive. They can't keep up. Yeah, we should get the call tonight, guys. I'll do the ref check right now, guys. Our refs for tonight, crew chief is Zach Zarba for the Miami referee. Or no, he's a New York referee. He's from New York. Zach Zarba. We know Zach Zarba. He likes The Godfather. He likes The Wire. He wants to visit Italy. He's a very down the line kind of ref. He's been very kind to the Raptors at different times. But this year, there's been a couple of games that Zach has refed where he's been a little bit unfair to the Raptors. But he is that kind of ref that will reward the hardworking team, and I like that. Our middle ref, Zach Zarba's real quick. Zach Zarba's winning record under Zach Zarba when he's reffing is 51.9. So he's well above 500 for us, and that's really good. Our middle ref is Curtis Blair tonight. Curtis Blair is going to be our referee. And Curtis Blair is from Virginia. He is a former basketball player. He was actually selected by the Houston Rockets in the 1992 NBA draft. And his favorite musician is KC and JoJo. Let's just hope he doesn't like JoJo, the center for the Philadelphia 76ers. And he likes just JoJo, the singer, and stuff like that. But Curtis Blair's a pretty fair ref for us. His winning percentage for us is .60.3. So we win 60% of the games that Curtis Blair referees. And I love that. And then our last guy, our umpire tonight, is the silky smooth. I was singing Luther this morning just to get ready. Well, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, I got to put on Never Too Much, because it's the silky smooth. Bill Kennedy is going to be our third ref tonight. And we lost the last game that he refed. And he's actually refed a game in this series already. But Bill Kennedy is that guy who gets on the mic and has that pleasant delivery, and he loves Luther Vandross. He's our oldest vet tonight, and he's a karaoke superstar. I just really hope that Bill understands that all my love. Never too much, never too much. Raptors got never too much because we want to keep playing. That's what we want to do. We want to keep playing. There's never too much playoffs for the Raptors. And that's what I want Bill Kennedy to know tonight. So this is a very fair ref crew. None of these guys, to me, do ref hit jobs. Zach Zarba's kind of done one, kind of a little bit at times. But for the most part, this is an up-and-up crew. A crew that I feel like we can trust to call it right down the line. So there's your ref check for tonight's game. Zach Zarba, Curtis Blair, and Bill Kennedy. That's who we got. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. G-San, do you think the 2 days rest gives anyone an advantage? I think it gives an advantage in some ways for the injuries to get a little bit better. But listen, Joel's thumb is not going to be fixed in any kind of way. So that injury may not improve at all, because he's just going to have to get surgery until that's done. And he's not going to get surgery in 2 days and be fine. So that is not going to be fixed. But maybe the other ailment that I'm speculating on, that he has a leg injury of some sort that they're not talking about because he's moving so badly right now, like he's like stuck in mud, that may have gotten better though. Of course, people like Fred has gotten better, but he's doubtful tonight. I do not think Fred will be playing tonight. But the other thing that's a disadvantage about the 2 days off is just absolutely how the Sixers Nation is eating itself alive. That you've had 2 days now between games where they're just absolutely going back and forth. You look at their different content makers, you look at their experts and their media people, and there's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of like going back and forth, and kind of just like the fans are like, this fucking bullshit kind of stuff. They're talking about wanting to get rid of Morey already. So actually, those 2 days has been a disadvantage for the Sixers, because it's been too much time to talk about how shitty and dysfunctional and bad things are going. That is, sometimes you want that just 1 day off when you have such a bad thing happening, and that you can just get a new chance to wipe the slate and have better things going. So I'll say that it's an advantage as far as health for both teams, but a very bad disadvantage for Sixers Nation just because of all the noise that was allowed to happen in the last 48 hours and stuff like that. So Lumpy Rex is saying, go Raptors. We got to come out tonight and step on those Sixers. This is really important, Lumpy, that we get a good start. In the game we watched yesterday, we watched game 6 of the 2001 series. The Raptors jumped all over the Sixers in that game and got a good lead, and that was very helpful. That is something we need to do also. If this could be similar to Monday night, James Harden scored the first basket of the game, and that was the only lead that the Sixers had in the entire game on Monday night. Something similar like that happens where, maybe they have one lead at the beginning, or they don't get a lead at all, and we just lead the whole entire game. That is what I'm really hoping for. And listen, the way we played on Monday night, That kind of defense is going to make it so hard for Philadelphia to find their offense. That if they're not getting good shots and feeling good in their offense, a couple of them, they can be really, really shut down. And that's part of it is like that Joel can't do the dominant things that he does in the near the basket against us, especially with a hurt thumb. And the other guys, like I said the other day, I don't see Maxey stepping up completely because he's a second year player. That's a lot of pressure for a very young guy. He may be ready to do this in the next few years, but this is too soon. He's basically the same experience as Precious Achua right now. I said this the other day, and I believe this. It's like, do we expect Precious Achua to take the whole team on his shoulders and carry them right now? No, we shouldn't be wanting to do that. And I don't think Sixers fans want to completely do that to Maxey either. So then it turns, it's like, all right, Joel's hurt, Maxey's young, and James, what the fuck? Are you gonna do it? Well, everything that we've heard from James in the last couple of days just shows him just being as aloof as always, and just kind of like skating through life as he always does. And that is really bad. And this is the crazy thing, is that this is where it's going to split as far as like Sixers love for James, and James is going to go like that after this series. If we get back and win this series on Saturday night, then James Harden will be basically disowned by the Sixers nation because he did not step up and help them when they needed him the most. And they will remember that, and they'll actually start to hate him right away, is what's going to happen. So, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Click 2AM saying Raptors fans need to be on their feet all game. Raptors need to set the tone in the first quarter. Raptors fans need to boo every time Philly gets the ball, and only when Embiid gets it. Yeah, I want them to say defense. They can boo when Embiid gets it, but I'd rather them say defense because that really does work. It's very loud. It's very annoying to teams sometimes when they have to play and there's defense, defense. But the best thing about the defense chants is they feed our guys. When our team hears us all yelling defense, they put in an extra effort. You can tell. It's like we're feeding them energy when we're yelling defense like crazy when Sixers have the ball. And you see Precious get more aggressive. You see Scotty and you see Gary poking balls out of people's hands and stuff like that. That is the key thing. We're going to get loud and cheer when our team scores. But every single time the Philadelphia 76ers dribble the ball or have the ball in their possession, the whole crowd, I don't care if it's right after the jump ball, I don't care if it's right after halftime at the beginning of the third quarter, needs to be yelling defense at the top of their lungs. And it shouldn't just be the 300 level people that are up above that are filling in the volume. It should be the people down near the court also. And that's a really good, huge advantage. And it makes it really tough for a team to score, even tougher, regardless of the long arm monster suffocating them also. So yeah, I agree with this. Click, get there early, get loud, and if you can, stand the whole game. Some people cannot physically stand for 2 hours, and I understand that. But if you guys want to stand, and if somebody's sitting behind you and tells you to sit down, tell them to stand up, is what I'll say. Oh yeah, Blue City's here. We have Sixers fan here with us this morning. Let's see what Blue City's saying. Always good to see a good Sixers fan interact with us and have some things. All right. Blue City's saying, sorry, I had not been coming to your live chat. I've been really busy working on my job. Like I said, may the best team win. The Raptors win, respect. But if my Sixers win, still respect. This is mutual. This goes mutual ways. I'm not so confident that I just believe that this is going to be handed to the Raptors right now. I believe we got the momentum in our side, but I have to be open to the possibility that our season could end tonight also. And if our season ends tonight, Blue City, I will tell you right now, I will say the same thing that you'll say, the best team won. And that's honor in sports. And that's the way it should be. Is like, listen, don't poo-poo another team's achievement if something good happens in it. And that's what I want to say to you, is that we will respect and say that the Sixers were the best team if y'all win this series. And I know you just said that you do the same in the other way. So much respect. And as we always say, we just want to see good basketball, be entertained, have nobody get hurt. And those are the things we love and we want to see. Click 2M saying that's how we apply the most pressure possible. Listen, this pressure is stifling. These guys, half their team. This is the thing: to beat a positionless team, it's gonna really be you're gonna have to match them with positionless guys. That if you have people that are too big than the positionless because they're too slow, like Embiid, that is a detriment. If you have guys that are too short, like you got 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys out there, then that's a huge detriment. It's really going to be that you're going to have guys that can match up with us eye to eye, like as Nick Nurse likes to put it. And there's not many teams that have the personnel on their roster to be able to do this right now. That they're going to be scrambling to maybe find some more 6'9" long arm monsters on every single team just to deal with this. And that's part of the problem is I don't think Sixers have the personnel at this point to stop the look that we've got going. And that's the difference in the swing of what's happened recently in the recent games. Callie's saying step on them and squash them. Yes, we can't have any mercy in this case. This is the same thing that they should have been saying last week. Is they can't have any mercy. You have to, that cigarette, if you smoke, it's a bad habit. I encourage everybody to quit smoking. But if you smoke a cigarette and you throw it on the ground, you better stomp it all the way out because it may roll in the wind down the street and cause a brush fire. So you need to go ahead and stomp that cigarette out good. So there's no ember, there's no ash, there's no smoke coming out of it. You have to make sure it's dead. And that is what I'm talking about right now with what's going on with this. This is exactly right, Callie. And we don't need you to have a high stress meter in any kind of way tonight. Let's have it a nice, fun, enjoyable game for the Raptors nation to watch in our own building in Jurassic Park, hopefully with the Inside the NBA crew out there, Charles and Shaq and everything. It's going to be very interesting. Tom Duke's saying, click, I can't sit down even now. Tom is already preemptively standing in his house ready for the game, that he is that excited. It's never too much for Tom Duke. He is getting hype right now by standing in his house. He will not sit until the Raptors have won game 6 tonight. Oh, yeah. Lumpy Rex saying exactly to Callie. Darren saying very busy. Nope, watched every game, getting prepped to be back in Kazakhstan in June. Fantastic, Darren. Yeah. All right. Well, I know you're very busy with your work quite often and stuff like that, but I'm glad you've been watching every game. And I'm glad you're back with us today, this morning, or tonight, just before 10 p.m. in Jakarta time. Joining us this morning, 12 hours off from us. But yeah, Darren, we knew you were always here with us in the Raptor Freak cult right from the start. And, you pop in and pop out at different times. We're just happy to see you when we do get you. Stuff like that. Callie saying so much negativity on Sixers, calling out their own players and coach and etc. This is a fight within them. It's like we are like, listen, you see the photos and the things that are happening in Raptor practices. Everybody's loose. They're happy. They're all on media silence. You're not seeing them do anything on Instagram right now. You're not seeing them do anything. They're all business. And these last couple of days in Raptor practice, I'm sure that they've been just doubling down and really going over more and more about what succeeded on Monday night and making me more new wrinkles and stuff like that. Because like in some ways, what Nick can do right now is he can kind of think, well, what's Doc going to do? How would he try and figure out how to beat this at this point? And maybe he's already scheming for any possible solutions Doc is coming in with. But to be honest, I don't see how Doc has any solutions. And it may be that's part of the reason why he's already making excuses ahead of this game. And that was really interesting to me, that the interviews with the media, he's not talking about succeeding. He's not talking about how he's going to get them back in this series in some ways. He's talking about his failures in the past and making excuses for them and getting ready to possibly have to make more excuses for what's happening right now. Is what it looks like. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. Click 2 AM saying the Sixers want to play faster so that they don't have to deal with our length. Need to be sharp tonight. Yeah, well, if it's getting up and down the court, if it's just any of that kind of stuff, yeah, we got to be. This is just a basic tenement. Like I could say keys to victory every fucking day is the same thing. Hit your shots. Don't turn the ball over. Win the rebounding battle. Don't let the other team get out running. Make quick adjustments and changes and switches on your defense as much as possible. All this kind of stuff. And the thing that has really helped us in the last couple of games is controlling the pace. Like we've really turned this series into an Eastern Conference, like slow down, like grind. And that's good for our kind of play because like I said the other day, we can miss so many shots and we'll get them still. They can, but we have to make sure they're missing shots too. And that a lot of maybe what Doc Rivers is scheming for today is how to free his guys up and get them scoring again and stuff like that against the kind of team that we're playing now. And that's the crazy thing. I don't know how you do that because some guys like Chris Boucher can get out there and chase and block, and like we're very fast with the length. And that is the combo. It's the combo of being quick and agile on your feet and adjusting and just smothering, and then that extra couple inches where you just tower over. You may be towering over Maxey, you may be towering over Danny Green, you may be towering over Georges Niang, all those guys. And then once again, on the other end, these guys cannot guard. There's always going to be at least 2 or 3 mismatches with the positionless scheme on them. One's always going to be Embiid if they have him out there. And then the other ones are going to be those little guys. And then obviously Georges Niang. Like he is obviously an easy mismatch for the Raptors in the series and stuff like that. So yeah, Click, I'd like to see the Raptors continue to keep the pace slow and keep it a defensive oriented game, a slugfest kind of Eastern Conference style. Darren saying, Scotty, what heart? Scotty Barnes has intangibles to the gills. And I love the Basketball Time Machine with Sean David. He's a YouTube channel on here, and he made a video yesterday talking about how he's finally enjoying the NBA playoffs after like 10 or 12 years. He's hated the NBA with the superstars. He's hated the super teams. He's hated how all these players have jumped all around. He loves the NBA in the 80s and the 90s, that old style. And he's saying that he's seeing in the playoffs this year a whole new chapter starting to be written in the NBA as far as coming back to some of the roots and the great things about the game. A team-oriented game instead of an individual game with superstars. A team-oriented game. And he's loving seeing defense and rebound and actually being important. And he named a few teams that he's really enjoying in the playoffs so far, and one of them was the Toronto Raptors. And he even went out on a limb and said he thinks that they're going to beat the Sixers. And he made it, and he's like, I know this may not age well, but I really like the Raptors and they're a dark horse. And I respect and I love that. But Scotty Barnes is that kind of old mentality kind of guy. He could have played in the 80s and 90s and he would have fit right in. He's really that kind of style of player. And I love seeing it and stuff like that. But yeah, Scotty's the man. He is the man, Darren. Callie's saying, Click, they may come out fast, but they can't sustain it. Yeah, that I believe that too, Callie. That, like, listen, I've said this already this week, so if you hear me repeat myself, just understand this is really true. As this series has gone on, they've gotten more hurt and more tired, and we've gotten more like showing our endurance that we've had all year. And the other thing I've said is that we're playing them for the 6th time in a row. That's got to be annoying to them. And unlike us, this is a big, huge advantage the Raptors have. We have all this athletic talent and all this kind of skill that we can actually focus and adjust in really small adjustments that are very, very big effect. Meanwhile, on their side, they're limited to a degree by their talent physically, like athletically. That, yeah, sure, you got Joel Embiid, who's the most biggest guy, dominant guy on the court, but he's hurt now. And then you got Harden, who's just I mean, I don't even know how to fucking describe James Harden at this point. You don't necessarily have the athleticism in your role players, Philadelphia, in your overall roster to make up for this athletic advantage that the Raptors have if they play positionless. And that's going to be the thing. Like, our guys could be in practice the last couple of days and they could really look at the tape and say, well, that's what they've been doing. Actually, they've been looking at the tape. They saw how Maxey tore us up at the beginning and they solved it. And they saw how this could happen with this shooter or this thing or Joel, where he needs to get the ball to be successful. And they've adjusted and they've taken it all away from Philadelphia at this point. It's no joke that their scoring each game has gone down 131 and now down to 86. I don't even give y'all that 88 because we know, we scored 2 of y'all's points on Monday night. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's like, listen, there's some limits to their team that may not be able to fix the advantage that the Raptors have at this point. Blue City saying, that's a shame. I never want to see a player or head coach in any basketball team to fail. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I don't like it either, too. I don't like that Doc is the one thing he's not even just like kind of calling out James right now, but he called out all these old former players that used to play for him. And it's just not a bad look, Doc. Like, why are you talking about Orlando in 2001 at this point and saying shit like, well, look at the roster that I was dealing with and shit like that? You're insulting guys that played for you a long time ago in some ways. And it's just not necessary at this point. It just doesn't make you look good, Doc, to throw so many different people under the bus. And then, in some ways, you're the common thread in these situations. And you need to own that. You need to own that. And if things go the way that I hope they go by Saturday, you're going to really need to own this in a lot of ways. And I'm sorry, it's just that way. But yeah, Blue City, listen, we got to be real about this. Doc Rivers has a track record, and I know y'all were already kind of iffy on him. And like, listen, like you said, the best team wins, the best coach wins in some ways. And I was willing to give Doc the best coach award for the first few games of the series because he had a fantastic starting game plan. But now I don't know if he's got a very good adjustment game plan. And that is where Nick Nurse ends up coaching him by the end of the series. But once again, they all have to play it out there. You guys may get the victory tonight and everything will be fine. But for us, we'll feel good because we've had a very successful postseason run, even if we lose the series. We've had a very successful season. We have the Rookie of the Year. There's all kinds of different celebrations for Raptor Nation. But we're greedy. We don't want to stop at this, and we do want to make history. These guys have it so close, and they're understanding the gravity of this. It's going to be really interesting to see how it happens. But I know you guys want to stop it desperately also. Click to him saying, remember what Fred said? In a playoff series, there's a small window that if taken advantage of can win the series. And in this case, this is the small window. Everything around the Sixers is negative right now. Yeah, like the busting the thing wide open kind of thing. It just looks like it's happened. Like this is the thing. NBA experts up down south will always doubt us. They'll put us down. They'll always say, "Oh, the Raptors still don't have a chance." They're not doing that at this point. And you'd think that we were the ones up 3-2 right now. They actually really believe the Raptors can pull this off. And these are people that hate at us and talk shit about us. Just like 6 months ago, they're actually seeing it with their own eyes and they're understanding it. And even Sixers fan understands it deep down inside in some ways. And that's part of the reason why they were so upset on Monday. And they turned their back on their team and they're pissed off walking out and stuff like that. Because they realize once again, they got sold something all year long about their team. And then they see what's happening in the playoffs and they were like, what the fuck? Kind of thing. And that's the thing. We've seen these advantages. We need to use them and we need to keep going. It's going to be really interesting. We just want to extend play for our younger players as long as we can. And tonight, winning at home will mean that we get a game 7. And then boom, like if we get a game 7 on Saturday, that is a huge, huge experience for somebody like Scotty Barnes playing his first ever game 7 in the playoffs. And that kind of stuff. And this is the thing. We get to test their mettle. We get to test whether these are superstars that are budding and maybe they have an explosion of some sort or they do something amazing that builds the beginning of their legend, whether it's Scotty, Precious, OG, whoever. And I love that Pascal's finally getting his due for what he's doing right now. That in some ways, statistically, some of the things he's doing in this series are really bringing him up into the Raptors playoff leaders charts in different situations and stuff. And then he's getting his due. That this guy's a real deal good guy. And I'm so happy about it. That's why I'm talking about this already. Darren saying, what about P? What about P? Well, I was just talking about P, Darren. It's like I have ESP. I knew. All right, Greg's here. Good to see Greg. Greg, I got your message. I just read it on the email just before I went on here. And we will be talking right after this. Actually, I got to watch Survivor after this, but then I'll talk after that. But Greg's saying, thanks for the Iverson game, Lex. I watched part of it this morning, and I'm looking forward to the last half. Great interview with Alan. I watched on YouTube last night. Check it out. Alan's, interesting. Very interesting to see. Well, who was he talking? He was talking about Steph Curry and how he was playing against us in 2001. And he saw Steph as a little baby, and he's like, he's so proud of him. He's really anointing Steph as kind of like Magic anointed Scotty Barnes. He's like, you are my dude. You are my guy I'm really proud of, and you're a hero to me as a current player. Steph Curry is how Allen Iverson feels like it. Yeah, that was cool stuff. And Greg, man, you're being very productive this week with all kinds of good stuff coming out. I see you had another new one came out last night. I'm gonna watch it this afternoon also. All right, let's see. Escobar Cruz is saying Philly soft steak, Raps in 6, just how I call it. Well, they can't win tonight, Escobar. They got to win tonight, and then they got to do it Raps in 7 because it's just statistically not possible. I mean, if we really beat them down, Escobar, do you think maybe they'll give us 2 wins? Zach Zarba's like, okay, listen, this is a TKO. This is over. This is so over. I have to just award the series to the Raptors right now. Raps in 6, even though they technically would be tied 3-3. But I love it, Escobar. That's the right kind of attitude. I love it. Tom Duke saying, bring it, Philly. Nothing's stopping our iceberg. Nick Nurse is also going to be under the Philly boat with the drill. Tom's rerunning the stories from yesterday or from 2 days ago, talking about how the Sixers were the Titanic and they're coming across the Atlantic Ocean and there's an iceberg called the Toronto Raptors that they hit, and now that's kind of what's going down with it. And like he's saying, he's making a reference to me saying that Nick Nurse is under their boat with scuba gear with drills, putting holes in the bottom, and there's not enough hands to clog them up and stuff like that. Blue City's saying if the Raptors win Game 6, then they go back to the Wells Fargo in Game 7 against the Sixers. Yeah, and that's no small task. Like, listen, it could smack up 2001 in some ways. We watched that Game 6 of 2001. The Raptors won it and forced the Game 7 in Philadelphia, and we know what happened by the end of that game. But in a lot of ways, this is a very different kind of situation in some ways. But it's very hard to win on another team's court no matter what. And once again, I've also said it's very hard to win 4 games in a row against one team. That's very hard to do also. But these are challenges the Raptors are going to try and take, and we can't get ahead of ourselves. We got to make sure we win tonight to get the game for Saturday. And then on Saturday, I'll be like, we got to get the one tonight so that we get the game on Monday against Miami. It's that kind of thing. So we got to, really take it step by step and not get ahead of ourselves. Tonight is the most important game, Game 6 in Toronto. And we need to make sure we protect our home court. We got to make sure that we don't let them win in front of our crowds and have everybody disappointed by the end of the night. We cannot let that happen. And in so many different ways, we have a lot of advantages right now so that it shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't. So let's see. Clink saying, are we going to paper rock for the last game? Laughing out loud, just messing. Yeah, I think it would be funny if Zach Zarba said, all right, it's over. We got to call it. You're just beating them too bad. You're beating them up too bad. It's like a fight, and it's just too one-sided. And then Zach Zarba's like, all right, we got to just call the series. Don't even go to Philadelphia on Saturday. Yeah, that's not going to happen, but it'd be hilarious if it did. Greg in the house. That's what Darren's saying. And Tom Duke's saying too. And Escobar's saying, laughing my fucking ass off. Yeah, it's hilarious. All right, Jump Clay saying 2 minutes of hype for Game 6. Yeah, so many minutes of hype. Oh, don't worry. When I get finished with this stream, at the very end of it, I will go on my rant to get our pep speech for what's going on tonight. Escobar Cruz is saying, let's go Raptors tonight, Game 6 in Toronto. Darren is saying all about P Game 6 and 7. I want to see Pascal have a big game tonight and be really good. But would you be upset if it was Precious Achua eating Joel Embiid alive? Would you be upset if it was Scotty Barnes making a huge splash all of a sudden as a rookie in his playoff series and stuff, like making a huge impact? Would you be upset if it was Gary Trent raining down on them all day long and he gets like a 40-plus point game? I wouldn't be upset about any of them, but we do need Pascal to continue to be a solid contributor. Now, I love him to be the number one guy and be the one that's really taken, them to school, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I like the balance attack a lot also, but I think that Pascal should have a very good game tonight. I really hope so. Escobar saying Philly can't hang with the big lineup. I really believe this, Escobar, because listen, the evidence isn't just in the last game. It's also from the season. Like in the games we played against Philadelphia this year, at times we flashed this positionless scheme, and every single time we killed them. We messed them up when we did that. And that's why I'm saying that this may be a really bad thing for Philadelphia. I don't think they have any answers for this. No pun intended. I said the process. I'm making process jokes, and now I'm making answer jokes. But I don't think there's no answer for this. There's no Allen Iverson for this. And that's just that's just the reality of the situation. This isn't even my skewed purple purple lemonade, purple Kool-Aid bias. This is me looking at it as a basketball person for many, many years, watching the game and saying, this looks like a bad thing for them. And that's why all these other people are jumping on the ship and saying the Raptors will probably win this, is because they see the same things that I'm seeing right now. And there are adjustments and changes that you can't necessarily make as a whole, because you just don't, like I said, I don't think they have the personnel to make the adjustments to be able to do this. They may change their roster this summer and may be able to deal with it better, but in this current state of the Philadelphia 76ers, I don't know what they can do. Like how to try and stop what's happened now. I don't know how they can do it. Greg's saying, thanks for the hype, gang. Enjoy tonight. I got to run, taking kids to Jays and then see Jurassic Park for the first time. That sounds like such a fun day, Greg. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Go to a Jays game and go see Jurassic Park on Game 6. Oh no, you're going to Jurassic Park. I get it now. You're not going to see the movie. You're actually going to go down there and hang out in Jurassic Park. That's fun. You can do all that on the phone, Greg. For anybody, Raptor freaks or anybody around, you want to go to Jurassic Park tonight, there's an app or something, look it up, and you can get your passes and go in and get in there ahead of time. That's the way they're handling Jurassic this year, is you can't just go down there and just say, oh, I want to come in. You have to do something on an app before you go down there to reserve your spot to go in there. So, Greg, you might want to look into that and get you guys actually in there. Because that'd be a lot of fun tonight. I'm sure that the atmosphere down there and hopefully the weather is a little warmer and nicer outside. It could be a lot of fun. Escobar Cruz is saying, told my friend Scotty is our backbone. We can't do without him. I agree with this, Escobar. He's definitely the future. He's definitely the one that I want to put all the eggs in the basket on and throw max money at every single time his contract's up. He's going to be very highly sought after. There's going to be all kinds of, Laker Nation's going to be talking so much shit about wanting Baby Magic to be in the Laker uniform and stuff like that. We just want to hear it. Miami fans are going to be saying the same shit because he's from Miami area and stuff like that. All this kind of shit's going to be coming, and we need to just love and support Scotty, and hopefully he'll never turn his back on the Raptors franchise. I really hope he doesn't do that. In a lot of ways, he has so many similarities to Vince as being an ACC player, being a Florida guy, winning Rookie of the Year and stuff like that. We can't have him be like Vince, though. Down the road is what I'm saying. So I want everything Scotty wants, give it to him, because he won't be unreasonable with it. He won't be like LeBron and be a prima donna and make unreasonable requests for what he wants from his team. He'll be a good player and a good citizen and somebody that just wants what he deserves. And that's why we need to give everything he wants to him, because he deserves it. All right, let's see. Darren saying another Death Watch game. Love the tension. It is fun. Like this week, all week, Darren, I've been singing Live and Let Die to myself because I really feel like the feeling of the song Live and Let Die by Wings really encapsulates kind of the Raptors spirit in the way that they're going about things right now. It's like they're walking a tightrope. They could easily fall off that tightrope and be done for the year, but they're kind of like just gangbusters. Live and let die. Listen to that a couple times today, and it really gets you hyped for tonight. I'm telling you right now. And Darren's saying go Jays. I say go Jays too. Yeah, let's go Jays. Some people are going on about how it's so fun to be a Toronto sports fan right now. Like people go like Greg today to the Blue Jays game at the Skydome, watch the game, and then they come out of the game and then they go and get in Jurassic Park. It's like the ultimate sports fan experience because it's all right in the same area, and you can literally go to the Jays game and come out and go to Jurassic Park like Greg and his kids are going to do tonight. It's really cool. Lumpy Rex is saying, as long as the refs are good, Raps are going to play their game. Wreck these Sixers. This ref crew is very fair. Like, honestly, I don't see any of these guys trying to get golden boy treatment to Joel. James Harden, they won't buy into his bullshit with his kickouts and his trying to initiate contact. I think that this will be very similar to how things have been ref recently, that they're going to let them play to a bit and they'll swallow the whistle. And that hopefully, like I said, a true sign of them calling it down the line is whether they get offensive charges called on them when our guys actually have good position and take the charge. You see Chris Boucher laying on the floor and they're calling offensive foul and going that way, then the refs are doing a good job. That's what I'm going to say right now. Blue City saying, I think Doc Rivers did say, I think it was in game 4 that they deserve to lose the Raptors, that the Raptors are a better team. Jeez, this is a Sixer fan coming in here and saying this. This is crazy. Like, I know that that may be some sort of strategy of him to try and motivate the Sixers, is saying, like, they were the better team and that they deserve to win if they're the better team. And maybe he's like, hint, hint, Sixers, I want you to be the better team and hear me saying this and not like me to say this. It's a weird kind of way to motivate them. But like I said, this is the thing. There's infight. There's obviously strain between Embiid and Harden because Embiid wants Harden to step up. And Harden, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. And then the fan nation, some of the content, like Raymond Jacob after the game the other night watched all the like Sixers content, like me, my duplicate, my counterpart for Sixers Nation. And it's very interesting, some of the things they're saying. Some of them are not even talking about the series anymore. They're already kind of conceding that they feel like this is going to go down in a bad way. And they're already sharpening their pitchforks for their front office and their head coach and stuff like that. They're already talking about how they don't want fucking Doc Rivers coaching them anymore. And they're talking about getting Don Staley to coach them. It's really interesting. Some of them. I think that'd be a really interesting choice if the Sixers did get Don Staley and they made history and had the first ever female NBA coach for the Sixers next year. That'd be really interesting and cool in a lot of ways. I'd love that move. I think it would be really awesome. I think she'd do a good job for y'all. She may be the kind of person y'all need in some ways. But that's the thing. When you're in the foxhole and you're getting fucking bad things happen to your team, it's either you're in the foxhole all together with each other or you start turning on each other. And there's a lot of turning on each other in different ways in Sixers Nation, whether it's the fans, whether it's the media, whether it's the players and the coach themselves. And that's the bad thing in some ways. When things go wrong, how do you guys stay together is what you got to see. Click 2am saying, if the NBA's goal is to make money, I don't see why they wouldn't want a game 7 here. The ratings will go crazy. Yeah, they've got this really good wave of enthusiasm. They're getting some of their old fans back that have been so sick of they're jaded about fucking the last decade and how it was run with LeBron and Kevin Durant being like the best players in the league and stuff like that. They're jaded by it and they hate that product. And some of them are starting to come back around and maybe their ratings are starting to go back up because we're seeing an old style of basketball that's fantastic, that is very team oriented, and there's exciting storylines and drama to this playoff that's very interesting. And I think you're right that like the ratings, I think they're going to get a game 7 regardless. I don't want to get ahead, but I'm going to say I feel real good about Toronto in Toronto tonight in game 6. But that is, you're right. And we're looking at it from the seedy part where the NBA manipulates the game and stuff like that. Of course, maybe they will want to extend this series for sure. And then, like I said, on a game 7, they really, in some ways, a Miami Toronto matchup is way more attractive to them than a Miami Philadelphia matchup. And it's not just the Raptors versus Kyle Lowry thing about it. It's also that in some ways Philadelphia is beat up so bad. If they get to the second round against Miami, they're not going to give them much of a fight. And it could be a very quick sweep that Miami does on the Sixers. And at least we would give them a good shot. Like we'd give them a good even shot. I don't think that Philly has a chance against the Heat with Joel this hurt. That if he was okay and he was 100%, I'd give him a lot better chances. But because Joel's hurt, it may not be a very exciting kind of series to watch, Miami versus Philly. And that may be part of the factoring in all these kinds of things. But once again, we need to win and make sure that it all happens this way. And, we could fuck up and they could win one of these games and then it's all over. And that's that. And that's great in some ways, because like I said, no Raptor fan needs to talk about anything that happens in any kind of way from this point as being a failure. It doesn't matter if we lose tonight on our home court. That still is not a failure in any kind of way. We did a really good job no matter what. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's see. Click's also saying Philly has an advantage from the 2 days because they can make adjustments. With Raptors winning the last 2, they will try the same game plan, but I'm sure Nick has plan B and C. It's like I said in the title of this stream, double down on what you're already doing because it's obviously working. And to be honest, the Sixers haven't shown any signs of being able to figure this out. And if you're really looking at it realistically, Click, like who's going to fucking change this kind of outcome? Like who is going to grow 5 more inches and be able to look OG in the eye or Pascal in the eye and stuff like that? It's really, really bad turn of events for them, because the best way that Philadelphia beat us in the first game of the series was being together as a team, really feeding off each other as a team, playing really smart by not turning the ball over and making their shots. And I don't know if they can do that at this point. Just that they really have to be together. Now, I may be completely wrong, and that they're in their foxhole right now, and they're really banding together and saying, we got to do all for one for all, and do this. But I don't see it just from what I'm hearing in the noise around Sixers, like practice and the coach and different things like that. It just doesn't seem like that kind of attitude is prevailing on this team. You know, a lot of fans are down on Thibault right now. A lot of fans are down on Niang. They're like really skewering them in some ways and stuff like that. So confidence and cohesiveness on the Sixers team right now may not be very high. And that may be exactly the only way that they can try and stop the Raptors at this point, is being cohesive and being on the same page as a team and clicking perfectly like they did in game one. That may be their only hope. I don't see any other way they can do this. There's no single person on the Sixers right now that's going to pull them out of this as a superstar, is what I'm saying right now. So I don't think they had an advantage because it was 2 days. I don't think Doc's smart enough to figure out enough shit to figure out the positionless stuff and how to guard against it, or even how to not beat it. They don't have a way to beat it at this point. They have not shown that they can score on this lineup. When we have all tall guys out there, they have not been able to score. You look at what they shot, 38% from the field for the whole game. This should be very similar tonight, that they shoot in the 30% in the game tonight, just because we're suffocating them. They can't score is basically what I'm saying. And I don't know, Doc could write up all these different plays to try and free people and stuff like that. But the way we're adjusting so quickly, and the way that it's so switchable, and it's the exact same look, no matter how they switch things around, I don't think there's anything they can do. I'm being very serious. I don't know. I tried to scheme from their point of view in the last couple of days, and I'm like, I don't understand how they can do this. I really don't. It's really, really, really interesting. But we shouldn't get so confident for sure. We need to understand, yeah, they're still dangerous, but I really don't understand how they could actually come back and beat us at this point. I'm serious. I'm very serious. Seymour Pape saying, Miami's sitting and waiting. South Beach versus Q Beach. Let's go Raptors. Raps in 7. Philly going down. This is a matchup that is very attractive. Honestly, the drama, the storylines of the Raptors versus Kyle Lowry is such a huge storyline. It's a huge storyline, and that may be super attractive to their marketing in certain ways. G saying, apparently Embiid is not posting up as much is because running back on D during the transitions is affecting him. Maybe he does have a leg injury too. I'm positive, because he looked really mobile in the first couple of games of the series, and he was all over the place in some ways, but he's not anymore. He looks like he's laboring. He looks like he's really having a hard time keeping up with things, and we can have a fast pace at different times. This thing, we want to play a slow down game, a grind game where both teams are missing a lot of shots and there's very hard defense. But if we get a good defensive turnover, we're fast breaking. And we're running, and he doesn't want to run after us up and down the court in those kinds of ways. It's really going to be interesting to see how much he plays in some ways. Like, he may be having to come in and out of the game a lot and taking rest like more often in some ways and stuff like that. But I really think there is something wrong with either his like knee or his hip or something. And maybe partly because of all the time he spent on the floor in the series, whether it was from actual contact or him just embellishing is what I'm saying. Yeah. And G saying could be rumors and speculations too. Listen, I'm just going by my eye test in this situation with Joel Embiid. He looks slower, and he looks like it, they're talking about the thumb. The thumb's out in the open. They've completely been transparent about the thumb situation, that it needs surgery, that it is a torn thing. And, that's that kind of thing stuff. So, all right, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. All right, we are on okay, yeah, you guys are a lot here, so I'm going to have to get through everything. I will make sure I read every comment, even the one I saw just now, and I'm glad the wrenches haven't thrown it at him yet, because I'll throw a wrench at him in a sec. Watch. All right, let's see. Darren saying, well, going to catch some sleep, dreaming game 6 win. Let's go. Darren, I hope you have a very pleasant sleep. I want you to visualize on a deeper level with your REM sleep tonight as you sleep between now and the game, because you are in Jakarta, 12 hours difference from us. You sleep and you dream of the most beautiful, wonderful things happening in Toronto tonight. Because in some ways, I really believe in the power of dreams. And I really believe that if you do this, Darren, we're going to win for sure tonight. And I hope you get up and you just have a fantastic morning tonight, uh, in the morning. G saying Precious's interview after the last game was so great. He really did a good hype job. Like he made such a quotable quote, and like it's been plastered all over the place. And he's a badass. It was kind of very natural. He's like, "We're coming back, and we need all y'all to be there and be ready." And like I was like, "Yes, Precious, you are a hype man. You were doing the Flavor Flav for us right there." It's like, "Yeah, get them hype, get them down there, and get them ready." Oh yeah, good job, Precious. Lumpy Rex is saying, I agree with you, Lex. I'd rather people cheer defense than booing. Yeah, it's just, it sounds way more impressive. And like I said, it's feeding energy to our guys. It's like, well, you forgot what you're doing right now? Defense, defense. And they really know what they need to do and they go after it. Like Dennis, Chris Boucher starts doing Dennis Rodman kind of shit on the court, because he's hearing that and stuff like that. Lion Hunter's here. Good to see Lion Hunter. Fans better arrive early today. Tip-off is exactly at 7 p.m. Usually it's around 7:10, but tonight in Game 7, tip-off is a bit earlier. Don't want any empty seats. Yeah, don't mess around with this, people. If you're working today and you're going to the game, see if your boss will let you leave early. And seriously, don't be like these casually late kind of people, because you've got to understand there's a lot of fun stuff that happens before the game. And that if you are not in your seat for the anthem, this is what Jack Armstrong said, you are late. You are not there for the game. You need to get there for the anthem. You need to be in your seat at least by the anthem, preferably for the starting lineups also, and all that kind of stuff. So there's a real challenge to Raptors fan nation is don't dog it. Get down there and just get in there. And, you help the security and people that come bring you in by getting there earlier and get you in there faster. And then everything's just better and stuff like that. You can go get yourself a refreshment and some stuff and not have to rush. So just do it all the right way today. Really plan your day and realize this, y'all. This is the fucking playoffs. This isn't the regular season. This is the playoffs. And this is super serious business. So treat it like that. Don't, these players are doing very specific things, like staying off their Instagram this week and doing different things like that, because it's the playoffs. It's a special thing. And as fans, if you're a real diehard fan, you need to treat it at another level also in how you do it. And this is how you do it. You get there early, you stand, you're loud, you do everything that we've been talking about in the last little while. Yeah. G saying, very impressed with Thaddy Young's legs. Yeah, he's looked really good, and he fits so well into this. I was looking yesterday at the ages of the Raptors, and he's such a stark outlier from our team, being like his age compared to everybody. Like Gary Trent is exactly the median age, I should say, the median age of all of the Raptors. There's 8 guys younger than him, 8 guys older than him. And how old is Gary Trent? He's like 23, 24, and he is the median age person on the Raptors. That is saying a lot right there. But Thaddeus has these older legs and all kinds of different things, and he's just being a badass. And if you go and think about Thad Young's journey of this season, he was basically like Svi Mihalik on San Antonio this year. They were not using him at all. He was sitting at the end of the bench. He may have been wondering how much more of a career he has. And now all of a sudden he's been revitalized with life on this team, being a part of our rotation. And it's got to feel good to him, to feel like he's being a key contributor. He's doing all kinds of good stuff. And it's got to be badass. It's in some ways almost like his young legs, as being Thad Young, have felt reinvigorated and younger because of the young nucleus of the Raptors. And then also just the badass like feeling of like, yes, I have more in the tank. Yes, I can still contribute to a good playoff NBA team and still do that in my career. And that's all a part of it right there, the revitalization of Thad Young. Blue City saying, what happens, Brooklyn fans? Y'all were saying we're going to go all the way with Ben Simmons. Yes, Blue City, I am with you. Let's pile on Brooklyn Nets Nation real quick right now. Listen, one of the beautiful things that Sean David of the Basketball Time Machine is going on and on about why he loves this playoff is that these superstar teams have been killed. that we don't see the Lakers and LeBron anywhere now. We don't see Kevin in the Nets. These teams have gone to their demise. Even the Clippers, to an extent, are a team like this that needed to go to their demise. And that's a sign showing that the NBA is shifting and changing. That for 2 years straight, neither the Lakers or the Nets, two favorites, darlings of the NBA that everybody thought would be in the finals for sure, have gotten nowhere near the finals. And it's lovely. And I know Sixers Nation can laugh and love seeing what happened to Brooklyn this year along with Raptor Nation as Atlantic Division teams in the whole scheme of things and stuff like that. So yeah, I tip a teacup to Blue City right now, a teacup of Brooklyn Nets tears. Let's just enjoy them, my friend. For sure. I love it. I love it. Callie, and like, listen, if you didn't see it, Blue City, I went off on Ben Simmons this week for his creamsicle outfit with the monochrome black on the Nets bench, like all the stupid pictures of him looking like creamsicle Arthur, standing there looking so forlorn and shit as his team gets swept. I know that makes up a lot for that return game where he acted like he was getting get back while his teammates beat y'all on y'all's court. Like he did shit in that game. That fucking loser. And now it's amazing how much pros like Reggie Miller and all these old pros are dumping on Ben Simmons right now. And it's much deserved. It's very much deserved. Callie's saying Sixers team is embarrassment. I have no doubt they will try to come out aggressive and get fouls. As long as we are more aggressive, we'll be okay. Okay, Callie said something that just keyed something off in my mind. One of the ways that the Sixers may try and get back in this series will be very similar to what they did in game one. They may be dirty physically tonight. And that is some ways that teams have done this in playoff series in every sport where they play a little dirty when they feel like they're in trouble. And sometimes it's to get the other team off their game by getting them upset or getting them in trouble by injuring them or by getting one of their players so pissed off they get thrown out or stuff like that. One of the things the Raptors need to do is not take the bait. And they've been really good about doing this all year. They've been very smart and mature about when people try to punk them. Whether it's Bobby Portis Jr. in that Milwaukee game, whether it's LeBron and his bullshit. People have tried to punk us all year. So Raptors, you need to not take the bait. Just in case Philly comes out with, we're going to play dirty and get you off your game in certain ways like we did in game one. So don't take the bait. Just be the more physical team, impose your will, and dominate. Because that may be one of the game plans that Doc tries to do. In fact, it may be the only thing he could figure out to try and do, to try and stop us at this point. So expect Philly to play dirty tonight. And I really hope the refs give us the home cooking and punish them if they do, is what we need tonight. Yeah. So, Callie, that's a good mention. And we do need to be the aggressor and not take the bait if they decided to go dirty on us. Because they've shown a little bit of signs that they might try to do this. They definitely did it in game one, and it worked. So they may try and do that again in some ways because they are going to try and replicate game one as much as possible because that was their biggest success. So G saying, one thing I noticed with the Sixers, they are either high or low. The Raptors were down 0-3 and didn't get low. Kawhi may have left his mark, and Masai and Nurse have that philosophy as well. Yeah, it's just smart. It's just very mature understanding. And it's also like, listen, this is part of why our team is deceptively experienced, that our guys have gone through playoff series like this. Thad Young for sure. Fred and Pascal and OG, they understand this shit. They were in the bubble. They were on the 2019 run. They saw the different ways you can get down, like that Milwaukee series in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2019. They were down 0-2, and then they did something. Well, this is very similar to that in some ways. That the Raptors understand that even though they were down 0-2 to Milwaukee in that series, they busted them open, and then they ran with it for 4 games straight over a week period. And that this is kind of similar to that. We gave Sixers 3 games instead of 2, and now we busted them open. We're trying to run 4 games in a row to sweep them out after the 3-game losses. So, yeah, this is the thing. We have a underlying experience, even though we're such a young team. And this is something I talked about this year is like our team is actually deceptively veteran in the playoffs, even though we have a very low median average age. Is that it's absolutely insane that you can have that come together. Usually a young team has to wait how many years to get playoff experience to build off of? Well, that's a real strength of ours is that we're a playoff team with a lot of young players, and that is really badass. And that's really a lot of it is we've been here before, even though we're young. And that doesn't totally line up, but it does just because of our team and the makeup and the championship pedigree that we have and stuff like that. G saying one thing I noticed. Oh wait, that I just read that one. Lion Hunter saying stopping the extra help on Harden has made a huge difference. Yeah, it burned us in the first 2 games. Now playing him straight up has paid off. Less open shots for the Sixers. Key adjustment by Nurse. It is really a part of what we did on Monday night. Is we're staying home one-on-one with everybody, whether it's Joel, whether it's James, whoever it is. Because in some ways, with the positionless scheme, we don't have to double as much. Joel's hurt now. Like a healthy Joel, you did definitely have to double on him. But with him being hurt, you can get one guy to just kind of physical him, keep him as far away from the basket as possible. Because the closer he is, the easier he'll make the shot with the broken thumb. But if you body him and Precious is doing the work, keeping him out, Kem starts the game. He sets the tone by hitting that physical wall against him to not allow him to establish post presence right from the beginning of the game. That's what Kem Birch has been doing. And then, they continue to keep him away from the basket, at least 10 to 15 feet away from the basket, if not further. Let him shoot the three-pointer. And those kind of things, you'll be all right. Even if you're playing Joel one-on-one and he gets you beat, there's going to be somebody behind you that's going to meet him before he gets to the basket. And the same thing for Harden. Harden has not proven that he's going to be aggressive. Harden has not proven that he is going to make his shots even. Like he'll make his shots some of the time, but some of the time he's not getting anywhere close to it. And that's the thing. The thing that Harden was killing us the most in the first couple of games of the series was his passing out of the double. And if we don't go do it, like Lion Hunter's saying, then he can't pass out the double and give his teammates easy baskets. So it's really staying home and playing one-on-one on these guys and not feeling like you got to double people. Because even part of it is if they try and do switches and they try and get Embiid on like a smaller guy, they can't. Because the only person they can maybe possibly switch him onto where there's a really big problem is Gary Trent Jr. But even in that case, it's like we got a way of switching away from him that will make sure that the switch doesn't happen that way. That Gary always stays up top with the switches, and that the person that has to switch down low it'll be from like OG to Pascal or Chris Boucher to like Precious. It'll be like a real good switch for us. But yeah, this is a huge difference, and I'm glad you brought it up, Lion Hunter. Staying home and not doubling guys has been so smart. Just playing one-on-one, and continue to do that tonight, Raptors. We'll look for it to be like that. Seymour Pape saying the left MCL injury of Bucks Middleton is a grade 2 sprain, and he's expected to miss the entire second round versus Celtics, sources tell The Athletic. The recovery places conference finals in jeopardy. This is really bad for Milwaukee. I mean, Boston is looking like a juggernaut. Obviously, everybody in the NBA media machines talking about how this is the best team in the league, the Celtics, that they really want to suck their dick right now, honestly. They're going to talk all kinds of crazy stuff about the Celtics right now. This is really bad for Bucks. Like, I didn't watch the game last night. I was really sad for DeMar and the Bulls, and they lost, and DeMar had a tough game. And there's a lot of, like, ghosts of DeMar's past that are haunting him today as far as, like, playoff exits from his time with us and stuff like that. I hate seeing that. And I really applaud Billy Donovan for being proactive after the game and in his press conference really talking up DeMar so that Bulls fans don't turn on him. I'm going to tell y'all right now, Bulls Nation, don't turn on DeMar. He's a real one. He's going to figure this out. It may be that there were a couple of different things that didn't work really well against the Bucks, but you guys are on the right path, and don't spite yourself by cutting your nose off your face. Go ahead and keep DeMar with you, and don't turn on him. I will tell you guys right now, be better than that. Don't turn on DeMar DeRozan because he's a good dude. But for the Bucks, this is really bad. This probably means that the Celtics will be in the Eastern Conference Final on that side. Because Middleton's absolutely essential as a second banana to Giannis Antetokounmpo for them to be very good. And if he's out and he's not going to be back to the conference finals, they're fucked. So, wow. Good information, Seymour, and thanks for sharing that. I hadn't seen that. All right, Arthur Bowen is here, and he's laughing. He's saying the Raptors are losing tonight. All right, you want to put some money on this, Arthur? I mean, do you have any Canadian money? Because I'll do a bet in Canadian money or American money. It doesn't matter, Arthur. But I have a real strong feeling that all these happy, laughing faces that you put there are going to be actually going in the other direction. In a different way. And you actually may not have the smile in the laugh emoticon. It may just be the tears. by the end of the night. Yeah. So Arthur, good shot, and we've seen that. And I love that Rasta Ute just said, Arthur, go suck your dick, is basically, I think that's what he said. So go suck your dukes or something like that. Rasta Ute. Yes, man. Yes, I am with you, Rasta. Yes, I'm a Rasta man in my own way. I praise Jah, and I take communion every single day. Trust me, I am with you in your religion, sir. Seymour Pape saying at Arthur Bowen, put down the pipe. Put down the pipe if it has crack in it, because it sounds like Arthur's smoking crack at this point. If you really think that, all right. Let's see. And Click 2 AM saying, I was thinking about your Pascal versus DeMar comparison, and in a way, you're right. If Pascal is mentally and physically up for the challenge, his game is built for the playoffs on both ends. In some ways, Pascal has way more advantages than DeMar. He is taller and longer. He has a certain athleticism that DeMar doesn't have himself. And DeMar is nothing the defensive player that Pascal has. So if we're looking at the path of failure and success that DeMar DeRozan has and that Pascal is on in different ways, Pascal is much more set up to succeed, because he has a two-sided, like, one of the big knocks for DeMar was that we were like, man, we'll never win with DeMar, is the other end of the court, is the defensive end, that he does cause problems for being a defensive liability. And Pascal definitely does not do that. So if we're looking at that specific comparison, that is the big difference and part of the reason why. But they're very similar with their trial and error in the playoffs. Failure, succeed. It's just part. But it may be that Pascal finds success a lot faster, and partly because of the two ends of the court and how much his game is on both ends and stuff like that. Yeah. And Seymour saying Raps in 7. That's what I'm saying now too. I thought it would have been in Raptors in 5, and it might have possibly been if game 1 hadn't been such a disaster. But now we're saying Raps in 7. And I believe. And I know that so many more Raptors fans are believing more and more. This week has gone on since last Saturday. Let's see. Click 2am saying DeMar's game is limited in the playoffs. When his jumper doesn't fall, he kind of becomes useless. Yeah, he has a little bit of a one-dimensional kind of thing in some ways. But, like, I don't want to slight him. Listen, he's a fantastic player in all kinds of different ways. But in some ways, he's limited in certain ways also. We do have to say that. Death 4K saying, what's good, everyone? Let's go Raps. Tonight should be electric all over Canada. I hope so. I mean, I'm looking outside here in Leslieville right now, and it looks like there is a bit of a buzz on the street. The high school kids are walking to class, and they may be a little happier and a little skippier and jumpier. It's a lot sunnier today outside than it has in certain days this week. And hopefully it's a little warmer, because it's been a little cold the last couple of days. And I'm like, this is the end of April. We don't want it to be this cold, or maybe we do for the Philadelphia 76ers while they're visiting our city. Maybe we do want it to be a little cold for them. But it's very cliche Canada this week with the temperature, and it's too bad. But yeah, it is what it is. Click 2 AM saying the way Nick Nurse is approaching the 3-0 comeback seems legit. If we pull this off, that quote he said will go down in history. When another team faces 0-3, that's the quote they will use. Yeah, I mean, honestly, listen, Nick's a badass. Listen, if he continues his legend like this, where he wins an NBA championship his rookie year, he's the first coach ever to come back from 0-3. He's going to become one of the greatest coaches in the history of the NBA. I really, really hope he does a Popovich here, and he's here for decades, and he just continues to get in the playoffs over and over again, just like Greg Popovich, so much that he can mirror that Greg Popovich did here in Toronto with our team would be absolutely fantastic. It would be so badass. But yeah, those quotes are very quotable, and they may be something that Paul B., our archivist, will need to give us the great, fantastic Raptor quotes in history. And that Nick Nurse is saying, well, nobody did 0-3 comeback, but somebody's done 1-3 comeback. And I love that. I love that quote. Rasta Ute saying, if we win 4 in a row, is it a sweep? It's not actually a sweep, but I said that earlier, but I call it a sweep if you do win 4 in a row, even though you lost the first 3 games. It's not technically a sweep. But if you win 4 in a row, it's kind of the same in a way. Doesn't that make sense? I don't know. It's not technically a sweep. So I am kind of incorrect in saying that. Raymond Jacobs saying at Rasta, if we win it, it would be called a Canadian sweep. We let you win the first 3 just to be polite. Holy shit, Raymond Jacob. That is fucking like 4K gold right there. What you just wrote to Rasta, that is 4K gold. The Canadian sweep. Let's make something up called the Canadian sweep. And the first Canadian sweep we did, we could say is Orlando in the first round, where we lost one to Orlando and then they swept them right after. It's like the polite thing to do as a Canadian team. We give you guys a one game or maybe a couple more. Whatever we just whatever we do, and then we sweep you at some point. Still, in the end, I love this as a something to go into the Raptors nation zeitgeist. The Canadian sweep. And another one will be Milwaukee in 2019. Also, we gave you guys 2 games and then we swept you out. The Canadian sweep. I love this, Raymond Jacob. I absolutely love this. This is one of the greatest things that has been invented on the Raptor Freak channel in any kind of way. And you will get credit for this ultimately. The idea of something being called the Canadian sweep. We will tout this all over there. Greg, you put this on your channel too. We're going to start talking about something called the Canadian sweep, and Raymond Jacob made it up. And you know what? We're going to hear it on Sportsnet at some point too. We talk about it enough. I love it. I love that so much, Raymond. You killed it just now with that Canadian sweep. That's badass. Death 4K saying Jason Tatum beats the Nets, ascension to superstardom, even though M. Udoka is the main reason he beat the Nets. But Raptors beating the Sixers, who are better than the Nets? And Siakam is a role player. Well, whatever. Listen. Like I said, the Boston Celtics are the golden boy franchise. If there's a golden boy in Luka Doncic, if there's a golden boy in LeBron James, well, if there's a golden boy team, it's the Boston Celtics. And that is what's going to happen every single time with the media and all this kind of stuff. And like I said, a couple of days ago, we could accomplish this and they'll poo-poo it and they'll talk about the failures of Philadelphia instead of what we did and say all this stuff. And you wouldn't have done this. It's just like in real life. When somebody does something that they're slighted and somebody that's not celebrated, maybe somebody who's treated unequally, they may achieve something. And even the people that should be impressed with it are kind of like, yeah, well, whatever. They poo-poo somebody's. This is what happens to individuals in society at their work and in different places and circles in the world all the time, is that people don't get credit for the work that they did. And then maybe somebody else is getting shat on instead or something that, it's a really good example of that kind of stuff. Once again, we don't care. We're a submarine. We don't need all this accolades and this kind of stuff. They can toot their horns because in some ways, Jason Tatum needs that kind of admiration, just like Ben Simmons might need or something, because they were used to it. The NBA is like their breasts. They're feeding them like little babies. They're breastfeeding them like good feelings. Oh, you're so good. Oh, here you go. Have some more milk. Well, what happens when that breast gets taken away from them? Oh, you're too old. We need to wean you off of it. And then they turn into somebody like Ben Simmons. So maybe let Jason Tatum get used to feeling good and getting all the good like words about him. Because someday he may not get them and he may get derisive words and he may not know how to handle it. You know what I'm saying? So, because we've already seen some with him where he's complaining about not getting bonuses because he didn't win certain awards and shit like that. It's like that. He's that kind of personality. And if things don't go right for him and the media turns on him, he could turn into kind of a little bit like a Ben Simmons in some ways because he's so used to getting fed by the teat, by mommy NBA. Oh, yeah. Rasta Ute saying it, Raymond, we too nice, but I like it. It's a badass thing, the Canadian sweep. I love this idea, Rasta Ute. It's like, yes, we are so nice as a people, as a nation of Canada, that we will give you spot you a couple games in a series. It's the Canadian sweep, baby. I love it. Fan Chung saying if we make the 4, we make history. That is exactly true. And I'm all about making history. Click2am saying if we win this, the Sixers fan base is screwed. They can beat us in another series, but the rest of Sixers history, they would be known that it's the first team to lose an 0-3 lead. I hope we get this, man. In fact, this is a big motivation for what they're trying to stop at this point, is that they don't want to make history in this kind of way because they're used to making history like this kind of way. There's so many different records. It's Philadelphia Sixers. I don't know about the other teams, maybe the Phillies, maybe other teams in Philadelphia where they have like bad records. And just add this one to the list where they're on the other side of it in the wrong way. And that's what they're saying in their fan nation right now is we do not want to be the first team to ever do this in the history of the NBA. And it's looking like it might be. Oh, yeah, it's looking like it might be. Like, because of what I've been saying today. It's like, I don't see it in their personnel. I don't see it in their coach. I don't see it because they're all turning on each other. In fact, I'll do the injury report right now. Let me do the injury report right now. Right now, currently, Fred VanVleet is doubtful for tonight. He actually, this is the official report. Fred VanVleet is considered doubtful for Thursday's game 6 against the 76ers. And I'll bet you money he won't play tonight, obviously, because of the things. And he also said himself personally that he's aiming for a return in the second round if we get to the second round. So, and then if I look at the injuries on the other side, obviously Thibel's not allowed into the country. Bassey's still hurt, but I'm going to tell you there's way more injury on this injury list for Philadelphia than is listed here. The injury is to their fan nation. The injury is to their coach. The injury is to their players, and that the injury is just turning on each other and not believing in each other and not having any confidence in their team to stop what is inevitably probably going to happen this series. And the injury is all around. They have if the injury report, if I'm going to be real honest, the injury report is for Fan Nation and the media, for Sixers, and for the team, just in their morale and just all that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, that's my injury report officially for the day. I've done the ref check. I've done the injury report. We're talking keys to victory. And you know that last part will be coming, that real mascot matchup. Oh, yeah. All right, let me see. Death 4K saying, I'm interested to see what Doc means by adjustments. With that big lineup, they can't utilize the pick and roll that they build 90% of their offense. Also, in isolation, Maxey can only beat his guy. Yeah, that's the thing. Maxey's being guarded very well by OG Anunoby and Gary Trent at this point. They've tied him up really well. It's mostly Gary chasing him around, and that's a good matchup because he's fairly quick and he's taller than Maxey. So that's a really good matchup. But OG can tie him up just as well one-on-one. And this is the thing. Maxey gets by one of our guys. Well, he's got somebody like Chris Boucher or like Precious to still beat between him and the basket and stuff. And you're exactly right. The pick and roll is neutralized to an extent by a positionless scheme because we'll just switch and it doesn't fucking matter. You get the exact same look. It's not like a pick and roll changes anything on the court. And this is part of one of the real true strengths of positionless basketball is that it completely fucks up a lot of teams' bread and butter for their offensive schemes. And that is a huge development. Death, you're hitting the nail on the head right here about how a positionless scheme can absolutely neutralize any effectiveness from a pick and roll. So I love it. I love it. Raymond Jacobs saying at Death 4K, Doc's new adjustments. Hey, James, there's been talk that you should. Oh, maybe I'll do this in the voice. All right. Hey, James, there's been talk that you should shoot more. Let's try that tonight. Let's go, boys. Joel told me to ask you to shoot more, please. Something like that. Oh man, and Ross is laughing at he's laughing probably at that guy, and maybe it's some of the funny shit I've been saying too. Respect. Click to am saying, Run It Back Philly is a very good YouTuber that covers Philly sports. He's very funny. He's having a bad feeling about this series too. Yeah, I've heard that name before. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, listen, if you're doing what I'm doing on Sixers side, you have to be realistic and you have to really like take the whole body of work of what's happened over this whole year, the success we've had against them in the regular season. Well, people said that wouldn't translate. And well, it has, because the things that we did in the regular season that really worked to beat the Sixers 3 out of 4 times in those regular season games is what's beating them now. And that's the thing. Like I said earlier, they've never figured out how to actually stop it. And then even when Doc said this the other day, he said, well, maybe they should consider not playing Fred VanVleet. It seems like a smart move. It's like, yeah, thanks, Doc. We'll listen to you, and you can tell us how to absolutely destroy your team. Yeah, we're not going to play Fred VanVleet for the rest of the series against y'all because he's not fully healthy, and he has been a person y'all have been able to pick apart and get a lot of your offense going off of. Well, let's just shut that door and just not have him come out there and let him be. He's even joked, Fred has even joked that he wants to wear the same thing as the coaches are wearing and be officially like player coach for some of these games. But he didn't in the last game. But who knows? Maybe he'll show up in the coach's polo with Nick Nurse and Adrian Griffin and Earl Watson looking like a twin. But, I don't expect Fred to play tonight. In fact, all of us are crying out for it. Anybody who's saying, oh, please, Fred, come play. All of us should be saying, no, rest, get healthy, and get ready for the second round. And hopefully we'll get you there is what I'm saying right now. But yeah, listen, I've checked actually a bit of the Philadelphia content producers, and a lot of them are very pessimistic right now. Yeah. Seymour Pape saying at Raymond Jacob, Canadian sweep, that makes James Naismith happy. It's such a badass thing. Like, Seymour, isn't it badass? Raymond Jacob You are the MVP today. Just for getting the Canadian sweep thing out there is fantastic. Ross is saying that the Sixers, they're soft. And that's what he was saying, a soft Philly cheesesteak. Maybe it's too much cheese. Maybe that bread is a little too doughy. Like it's just a little too malleable. Like when you grab it and maybe like it's like falling apart. Have you ever gotten a shitty Philly cheesesteak where you grab it and the bread disintegrates? And then all of a sudden you got a fucking handful of fucking like hot meat and cheese, melted cheese, burning your fucking hand because the fucking bread crumbled on it. Man, that's what I'm saying. This is a soft Philly cheesesteak is right now is what's going on right here. Death 4K is saying the Sixers are coming up with their excuses right now. It's really sad, and media's are focusing on them. If all our guys would be healthy, we could close this out in 5 or 6, and no one ever once said it on the media. I agree with this. If we've been healthy, this series would have been over in 5 games, like I predicted. But they had to take out our rookie in the first game. They had to do all this other different stuff. Gary Trent had to be sick. And that really limited us right at the beginning of the series. But, listen, our guys are getting healthier and healthier, and that's really bad for Philadelphia. But, yeah, listen, the U.S. media is always going to take the side and bias from their side and try and spin it and talk about it from their perspective. And right now they're going to talk about how their house is on fire and all this kind of stuff. And they won't focus it on any kind of like giving any credit to us. And that's fine. But they'll give us credit. Honestly, they will at some point. Watch, they will. They're going to have to. Because if you make history in the NBA and nobody's ever fucking done this before, you have to give them credit and stuff like that. Like I'm fully expecting Sean David. I'm gonna call this right now because I've been sending him messages telling him to watch the Raptors because he's an old school basketball guy. If you guys watch the Basketball Time Machine with Sean David, you'll know what I'm talking about if you watch that channel. I'll put a link into his channel after this stream, but he is an old school guy. I told him, watch Scotty Barnes. He's like a basketball time machine in himself. He shows you old style moves, Magic Johnson style moves, all that kind of stuff right now. And I'm really expecting that if the Raptors pull off this history-making comeback, that Sean David's going to make some content about the Raptors on his Basketball Time Machine thing. And I challenge Sean David, make a clip, a whole thing just on Scotty Barnes and him being an old school throwback as Rookie of the Year and stuff like that. So we're going to get our attention. Trust me. If we beat Philadelphia on Saturday and we're going to Miami on Monday, we're going to get the attention then. Watch. Because we'll be making history at that point. All right, let's see. Death 4K saying also, this series in Wolves and Grizzlies has been the best 2 first-round playoffs entertainment to watch as fans. Our series, I think everyone wants Doc to fail again. This is true. A lot of people do want Doc to fail again. And it could be the other fan nations that he coached and had his failure with. He was like, well, Doc's doing it again. And, it's just that kind of shit. But I also agree that Memphis Timberwolves matchup is really good because they're young teams and they have a lot of talent and they're really going at each other and they're very evenly matched. Even as a 2 and a 7 seed, they're very evenly matched. And Minnesota in some ways has a couple of edges on Memphis. As far as Cat, they have the size advantage with Karl Anthony Towns. And then in a lot of ways, Minnesota's also the more veteran team. As far as like they have more older players that have more playoff experience. So you have that going against a stud young team with John Morant and Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks and all those guys against that. That is the battle in that because they have the home advantage and they have the youth, but they may not have the experience against Minnesota. And that's why that's a very entertaining, even series in a lot of ways. I'm really enjoying it also. I'm not watching it, but I'm really enjoying that Minnesota is giving them such a good fight. And that's part of it is we don't like seeing sweeps. We don't like seeing matchups that are just boring because one team's dominating the whole thing. We want to see that back and forth. We want to see 7-game series. We want to see teams actually get tested both ways. At one team's testing the other and the other team's testing the other. That is good playoff basketball. And that's why this NBA playoffs has been one of the best in recent memory, for sure. Daryl Turner's here. Good to see Daryl. Is Embiid hand injury similar hand injury to OG hand injury he's sustained and still deals with now? It's not because, all right, Joel's is a thumb. OG's is a finger. OG's is his ring finger. And Joel's is his thumb. But His thumb injury is very similar to Thad's thumb injury. So Thad Young and Joel Embiid have very similar thumb injuries right now, is what I'll say. Seymour Pape saying 76ers is the definition of a toxic workplace. That is not far off in different ways. But you know what? That toxicity, it's like radiation from like a nuclear power plant. It stays in there forever. It doesn't go away. And that's part of the problem is that this toxic stuff has been a part of their franchise for decades. And it goes all the way back to cats and people like that and stuff like that, that there's been toxicity and they're just, this is a pattern of things. This is a similar thing with the Maple Leafs. There's a Maple Leaf in toxicity that's just built up over years and years of disappointment and sadness because things just aren't going well and stuff like that. So yeah, it is a very toxic thing that's going on. Random Gamers here. Good to see another Philly fan. What's up, guys? I'm sick of the ISO ball the Sixers have been playing lately. We have to go back to swinging the ball around and get those bigger guys moving and tire them out. But I see it going to game 7. Yeah, I was kind of saying this earlier. The more you guys can look like you did in game 1, the more success you'll have. But it may be at this point the water's cut off. Is that like, listen, the ball movement y'all had going off of playing James Harden as a playmaker was really good and was causing all kinds of great things. But it's all predicated on, first of all, Joel Embiid kind of being an important guy to help spread the floor, Tyrese Maxey being important to spread the floor, and then your role players have to all be hitting their shots and stuff. And it's kind of like at this point, y'all need a leader to step up and lead the way. And I don't know who it's going to be at this point. You can't depend on James. Tyrese is young and he's kind of in his second year. And this is kind of a little bit above his experience level. And then Joel's hurt at this point. And none of these role player guys are talented. I mean, maybe Tobias Harris could do this, what I'm describing. But I'm not holding my breath on any of this. And this is part of what we're trying to stop is you guys being able to play off of each other and stuff like that. But you're right. That is kind of the seedlings of the game plan that could possibly get you guys some success still. But yeah, I think we're going to see you guys in Wells Fargo on Saturday, but I won't count my eggs before they hatch. That egg is sitting in the incubator all day today, and we'll just have to see how it goes tonight. Raymond Jacobs saying, I'm pretty sure all of those painkillers Embiid is on have his legs numb. I honestly said this before. It's like you in your own house right now, get up and fall down on the ground 12 times in a row without catching yourself and see how beat up and bruised you feel just from you falling on the floor, nobody touching you. That is exactly what he's doing to himself. It's like the flopping stuff. It really works if you get the referee's favor. But if you're just flopping on the floor like a fish and you're not getting any calls or no respect, then you're just hurting yourself. Because who knows if he's got bruises on his legs just from hitting the floor so much. That's the thing about doing that flopping stuff. You can hurt yourself by accident. And I think that's part of what's happening. And it's embarrassing that he doesn't want to talk about it. That, oh, I may have hurt myself because I fell on the floor trying to get a call and stuff like that. So Daryl Turner's saying, if Raptors win this series, who else is likely to win their series as an underdog? Perhaps Minnesota? Yeah. Yeah. Also, don't count out the Pelicans. Devin Booker being out is really tough for them in some ways. So there's that. Those are the two I would say right there. Obviously, most of the other series are over at this point. So Tom Duke's saying random things have changed, and these guys have trained for this marathon all year long. Winds a change. All right, let me see if I can do it today, Tom Duke. Down at Gorky Park. All right, Tom Duke wants an impression. He wants an impression of Nick Nurse practicing his whistling part with the Arkells doing Winds of Change. Okay, I did the whistling part there. I'm not going to do it again. I did the whistling. We'll just say that was Nick Nurse doing that. All right, Tom? I guess I was a little ahead. I didn't know you were going to say that, but there you go. You got your Wings of Change whistling. And maybe Nick Nurse whistles like I do. So maybe it is very on. So, okay, I flop. I'm just say flop. The game 5 Philly commentators kept calling the Raps the less talented team. I beg to differ. I think our defense is more talented and our talent isn't top heavy. What do you say, Alexi? Oh my gosh, I think you're exactly right, Flop. This is once again just another way that a media machine tries to spin propaganda in certain ways to make you kind of poo-poo down like our guys. Like, sure, Fred's an all-star. Sure, Pascal's an all-NBA candidate. But like they really want to make it seem like we don't have any talent because we don't have that figurehead superstar that they market like crazy, like Joel Embiid or James Harden. Whereas, like, listen, listen, you're exactly right. The fact that it's more equal across, like where we have like 7 or 8 guys that are actually very similar in their level of talent, as an aggregate, if you really stack it all up, we have way more talent than they do. Sure, they have Joel, who's probably the most talented person in this whole entire series because of his size combination with his skill package. But James Harden, he has talent, but he's washed. Tyrese Maxey has a shitload of talent too, but it's unfulfilled to a degree because he's so young. And then you got all of our guys that are sure they're unfulfilled also, but the ceilings are so high on people like Precious, Gary Trent Jr., and obviously Scotty. And that's why I would argue all day, exactly like you, that we are actually on the down low as a whole, the more talented team. That you can't tell me that Georges Niang, as their 6th man or 7th man, is more talented than our 7th man, like Precious Achua. That's stuff like that. Is like, yeah, you're exactly right. Random Gamer saying, yeah, I know, Tom. These guys look good and all look in shape, but I still think the Sixers would have more success swinging the ball instead of Harden ISOing. I think that's just in general in the NBA all around. Like it doesn't even have to be a Sixers thing or a Raptors thing. I think that the way the game's evolving right now is isolation ball is a real detriment. It's a weakness. It's actually not smart at this point. That the more teams get back to team playing and playing as a team and playing off of each other, the more beautiful the game will look, the more success these teams will have. And that because the average athlete in the NBA is getting so much better, it's so hard to beat people one-on-one at this point. It's really, you have to have a team scheme to get open shots. And then if you're just going to try and do half court ISO, you're not going to score more often than not. You're not going to score more often than not. And that's why I don't like the Raptors doing it. And that's why you're saying the same thing for your team this morning, that you don't like Harden doing isolation either. And that's smart. And that's probably the wave of the future in some ways. And that's part of the changing of the guard with the old superstars of the last decade going into the new decade. Giannis Antetokounmpo is more of a team-oriented player. I know he does some isolation stuff, but he's better like when he's playing off his other guys and stuff. So totally agree with that, Random. And I think that's a symptom of the game changing as a whole, that we're going to get further and further away from isolation one-on-one superstar kind of ball. And it's going to be more team-oriented like the Raptors, more team-oriented like the Heat, more team-oriented like the Celtics, that kind of stuff. And yeah, your team has best success when they're playing team ball off of each other, for sure. Thumbs up from Tom Duke. Waste Ute. You guys are fun. They're the best. All right, let's see. Arthur Bowen is still here. All right, I want to see what he's saying. Keep dreaming. Raptors are losing tonight. Well, Darren is literally dreaming in Jakarta of a Toronto Raptors victory tonight, Arthur Bowen. So we are dreaming. And you know what? That's what happens. Dreams do come true. Oh, they do. They do come true, Arthur Bowen, Mr. Sixers fan. They do come true. So we will dream and we will achieve and we will have it happen. He's saying, y'all Raptors fans are delusional. Listen, buddy, you go turn on your 6 o'clock news on the Sixers Nation right now, and you go listen to your experts right now, and you go see who's being delusional or not. I admire your loyalty and your delusion to the Sixers at this point. Because honestly, you are not looking at reality. If you did not see that game on Monday night in game 5 and how the Raptors completely handled your team in every kind of aspect of the game, then you are the one who's delusional. So don't you even fucking try and come here and gaslight us and saying we're delusional, because fucking A, you look at the facts, you look at the concrete facts of the game the other night and the trend of what's happening right now, and y'all are busted open on the floor with a bunch of blood coming out of your head right now because of what happened on Monday night. So we are not delusional, man. You are delusional because you are not looking at the facts and the truth of how this series has swung in our favor. And if you don't want to look at it, that's fine. You'll feel the sting of it eventually. You will. And your dream will get shook real quick. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Rasta Utes here. Let me see that. You look like a Sixers fan. He does look like a Sixers fan, Rasta Ute. He does. He smacks of it good. And that's the thing. We allow them here, Rasta. We're a positive Raptors fan space. But, other team nations are going to come in here and they're going to talk to us. Some of them are great, like Random Gamer and Blue City And then some of them would just want to talk trash. That's fine. I'm glad the wrenches have not been thrown today because this is kind of fun talking to Arthur Bowen this morning. Arthur, yes, all right, let's see. Daryl Turner is saying, I want you to challenge Sosa Locksmith to a friendly bet. This must be a Sixers guy. He's trash talking Sixers homer on the YouTube sports capping channel, The Daily Bread, who's calling out Raptors fans about tonight's game. Sure. I mean, I don't know what he's saying specifically, but yeah, I don't know what kind of bet I would make with him either. Like, I'm not going to go say something stupid or anything. I don't like doing bets where I have to humiliate myself just because or something like that. I'm more into the idea of like trading Buffalo wings because you're in Buffalo and for like Texas steaks or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know this guy. I've never watched him, but sure, let him talk trash. I'm sure it'll age real well. I'm sure it'll age real well. See, one of the things I'm doing on this station is I'm hedging my bets. I'm not just so blindly saying the Raptors are going to win for sure tonight. I understand the realm of possibility is open for a lot of things. Now, from my educated opinion, I really do believe the Raptors are going to kick their ass tonight. But, I'm also open to the fact it's like, sure, it's not for sure. We're not counting our chickens before they're hatched. We have to go and do the work. These guys have to show up to Scotiabank Arena tonight and punch that punch card in, put the lunch pail down, and go to fucking work and make sure that it happens. And I'm not getting ahead of myself. So, yeah, but I would love to do any kind of something with them. Maybe I'll go check them out afterwards, and maybe I'll shots fired on them or something like that. But I don't necessarily like adding that kind of drama either. But that's interesting. Death 4K saying, to be honest, beating the Sixers down from 0-3 is more embarrassing than just sweeping them. I think you're right, too, Death 4K. And the other thing is it kind of fits this narrative of Philadelphia fan being tortured. It's kind of like they get this really badass thing happen where they get a 3-0 lead on us. And they're like, yes, it's finally different. Yes. And then it all comes fucking crashing down. That's like classic collapse kind of shit for sports franchise kind of stuff. That's kind of like the Leafs blowing a 3-0 lead or something like that. And then everybody's like, that kind of thing. So it's very similar. I think you're exactly right. That if they, if we had just swept them, it wouldn't be as bad as what's happening to them now. Rasta, you saying, laugh out loud. We did it to Milwaukee too. That's right. Yeah. Canadian sweep, baby. Let's get this trademarked for Raymond Jacobs so he gets the residuals. And we're going to start a new thing called the Canadian sweep. We're so nice. We'll give you 1 or 2 games, maybe 3, and then we'll sweep your ass out. Canadian sweep. That's what's going on right now. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Lolita loves it. Lolita loves it. Go Raptors go is what Lolita's saying on the morning of Game 6. Go Raptors go. I love it. Def 4K saying Mike Schmidt in December said that Scotty Barnes is not quite at the level of a Cunningham or Green, but can shine as a tier 2 level rookie. What the fuck, man? Listen, this is what I said. I challenge and I warn every single media personality, every single person who's on ESPN, whether you're on TNT, whether you're on NBA TV, whether you're on TSN, whether you're on Sportsnet. As soon as you start to talk about the Raptors in any kind of way, you need a filter. You need to filter it in your brain and say, is this fair? Or am I going to look like a really fucking dumb person in like 6 months or 3 months or in a week or something like that? Like, is this fair to the Raptors? Y'all need to start filtering yourselves because y'all got all kinds of receipts all over the place and all kinds of different places where you look fucking stupid at this point with how you think that things were going to go this year and stuff like that. So I caution every single media person, every single person making any kind of content that has to do with the Raptors. If you start talking about the Raptors, you think twice about what prediction you're making. And you may need to realize that you're actually sliding down and that they're going to do way, way better than you think. Because that's coming back to bite that guy's in the ass real quick. His opinion of Scotty Barnes right there. Oh, yeah. Rasta, you saying, can you imagine Shaq said we would get swept? Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying, Rasta. Shaq, you better think twice before you start trying to predict the sweep on the Raptors. And remember, it's the Raptors you're dealing with. That's a whole different kind of thing. And you can't just say, oh, it's Toronto's going to get swept. Toronto's going to get swept. You can't just do that, Shaq. And you thought about it after the fact, and then you took it back after that. And that's the thing. They need to, I caution you, all you media people, you better think twice about what you say about the Raptors because the receipts will be there. We'll find it on YouTube, and we'll be like laughing at y'all later about how wrong you were. Just like we're laughing at Goran Dragic about his higher ambitions this week. BTOB is here. Good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a little bit. Always happy to see you. Raptors fans are used to being overlooked. That when U.S. media compliment us, we get paranoid. It's almost like, why are you complimenting us? You shouldn't be giving us any attention or talking about us in this way. Well, listen, this is the thing. Maybe we're getting to a new level with our franchise as a maturity over decades of being involved in the NBA now, 27 years, that they've seen us get in the playoffs so much in the last 10 years that they have to just kind of pencil us in as a true playoff threat. That we are actually going to be a team that contends to be in the playoffs every single year we play. And that if they decide in the preseason rankings to put us a lower down than they do, that they're going to just continually look like the weatherman who predicts rain and it never comes. And that's what I'm saying right now. They can continue to look bad as much as they want. And that it may be that the swing that starts to happen, BTOB, is that they start to believe in us and they actually do start to produce content that does actually give us the fair respect finally at this stage in our maturity as a franchise after having 27 years of being a franchise in the NBA, that we may get to this level now that they're perennially a playoff team and that they have to give us that respect because they just keep looking stupid every time they don't pick us to do well and stuff like that. That's what I'm thinking. Daryl Turner's saying all Northeast sports teams back east are golden boy teams. Look at Tom Brady and the New England Patriots dynasty as an example. I should know. I'm from New England, and I know what's up with the media. Well, you know, in some ways, it's very because that's where U.S. began. That's where the 13 colonies were. This is where there's so much history. And there's like, you know, the Celtics are a huge historic team. They've been in the league since the very beginning, all 75 years, just like the New York Knicks. And that is part of the reason why they get favoritism because they have a built up heritage. There's a strong heritage in Celtic Nation. And that, you know, sports fans in the Boston area are very diehard. And it's that same kind of thing. And the other thing that's on the down low about this is a lot of our media on the East Coast comes out of New York City. Now, the media people that work for New York City and stuff, they don't actually live in New York half the time. Sometimes they live in Connecticut. Or they live in like, you know, Rhode Island. They live like, you know, ESPN's actually headquartered up there in Connecticut. So in a way, ESPN's place where they come from, Bristol, is actually home turf for the Boston Celtics. So of course they're going to be tooting the horn of their home crowd and the people that are around them, and maybe even the people that cover them are actually fans of those teams also, like Bill Simmons and stuff like that. So it is really like that area, and you know, because you're from around there, Daryl. You know it more than any of us exactly why it's that way and that kind of thing. Whether it's Patriots, whether it's Bruins, whether it's Celtics. It's all the same thing. What is Red Sox? Red Sox, that's another one right there. Huge example of that. Click2AM saying the way NBA Chef impersonates Doc Rivers is next level. Oh, I'll bet he does a good Doc Rivers. I try to do a good Doc Rivers, but it's not. He's not easy in some ways. I don't know. You know, you should have looked at the roster that I had in Orlando in 2002. You know, stupid shit like that and stuff like that. But I'll have to go check out. Maybe I will go watch Chef after we're all said and done, because I just don't want to rip him off. Is like, because we do a very similar thing, and I don't want to sound exactly like him or say some of the same things he's saying, because we do have a lot of the same opinions. Tom Duke saying mascot matchup is a huge cliffhanger. All right, you're calling out for it, Tom Duke. You're gonna get it right now. Here's your mascot matchup for Game 6 tonight. The last time we saw the real mascot matchup, it was still this Americana affair between cosplay Ben Franklin and the Raptor mascot, and they're doing all these different activities against each other. And the one last time was a tug of war, and the Raptor won. He pulled him into the shit and won that one. Well, the new one is plate spinning, which is a halftime of entertainment that happens at NBA games from time to time, where the lady comes out and spins the plates on her head, on her fingers, on her feet, on her knees, all over. Well, let's see who can put most plates on their body and get them spinning all at once. I'll tell you right now, Ben Franklin, he has kind of a disadvantage just because he's a little rotund. He doesn't have the best balance. He's kind of a little bit of a fuck up in different ways in his own life anyway, because his whole life is dedicated to being a cosplay of Ben Franklin and shit like that. And the Raptor has a secret weapon, and that's what he used. Yeah, he didn't even have to Hulk up or anything, turn into the Velociraptor in this case, Tom Duke. He basically just had an extra plate going on his tail. That's right. He had that extra plate on his tail, and it was a disadvantage for Ben Franklin that he could not make up. And now, in some ways, Ben Franklin's a little worried because he feels like the Raptors actually winning now. So he's a little bit worried. And now he's really worried because he's found out what the next challenge is. The next challenge is a little weird because the Raptors said, listen, we're here in Philadelphia. We're in Americana Fair. Your cosplay Ben Franklin. There's cosplay George Washington over there and shit like that. We're going to do some, we're going to inject a little bit of Canadianism in this right now. Yeah, you know what you're going up against me in this one, Ben Franklin? We're going to play some curling. That's right. They're going to play a game of curling to figure out this next one. So we're going to have to find out who wins curling between cosplay Ben Franklin and the real Raptor mascot and the real Raptor mascot matchup. And the next time that we hear from that. All right, there you go, Tom Duke. There's your real mascot matchup. It's a little different, a little weird. And I love all the emoticons, lots of waffles, lots of vats of 100% Canadian maple syrup, a couple of double fisting teas with the tears of our opponents, all up there drinking them by the window like Kermit would be doing. Oh, yeah, all that kind of stuff. I love it, Tom. I love it. There you go. That was for you, Tom. And for anybody else who enjoys the real mascot matchup. There you go. Def 4K saying the threat of the Raps actually pulling this off is coming to realization to the Sixers, and the pressure is on Sixers. Can't make mistakes out there, and our guys want to put on a show. Yeah, they have to play perfect. Honestly, basically what the Raptors need to do for tonight is do a carbon copy of Monday. And it's going to be a lot easier on their own home court, hopefully with home cooking refs. The refs will look for us if the crowd is on their ass. And like that's what I'm saying. And this crew is fantastic. Zach Zarba, Curtis Blair, Bill Kennedy. These are great refs for us tonight. There's no real weird Mark Davis or Tony Brothers or Ed Malloy kind of bullshit going on tonight. We've got a fantastic ref crew. I don't expect any weird ref manipulation tonight. I really think that the NBA is going to want us to go to a game 7 and that they will, like, it's not that they're going to help us, but they'll call it down the line and allow the Raptors to kick their ass to force a game 7 tonight. That is really what I'm predicting tonight. Yeah. Rasta Ute likes my Doc voice. You know, the one person that pissed me off that he dissed this week is he was dissing Daryl Armstrong of the Orlando Magic. Daryl Armstrong was a badass, a great NBA pro, and he doesn't deserve you putting him down like that, Doc Rivers. Very, very wrong of you to talk shit about Daryl Armstrong and some of those Orlando players that you coached like 20 years ago. This week, why the fuck are you dragging that shit out just to try and make yourself sound or look better? It's so stupid, man. Doc Rivers, you need to stop making excuses and you need to start talking about how you're going to get your team back because you can't. I don't think you will. I don't think you have any idea how to do that. And that's why you're already making excuses and stuff like that. Arthur Bowen's saying, y'all Raptors fans are weird. Yeah, you're weird too, Arthur, because you're sitting in here with us listening to all this. You go ahead and listen. You're a masochist. I'll tear you down every time I see a comment by you, buddy. Oh, my gosh. Philly fan. Oh, it's hilarious. We are hilarious. I hope you are getting entertainment here. Andrew saying, Alexi, let's go. Let's get this W. We got to get one W to get to game 7. Nothing is guaranteed. We are living and let dying. We have to win tonight to play tomorrow. That's how it's been all week. We have to continue to win or we're done for the year. We have now outlasted the Brooklyn Nets. We have now outlasted LeBron and the Lakers. We outlasted the Clippers. We outlasted a whole bunch of teams, even the Chicago Bulls now. So now we need to try and outlast the Philadelphia 76ers by going to game 7 and beating their ass in their own building on Saturday night. But we got to take care of business here tonight first. Seymour Pape saying we're going to win this medical battle, nurse versus doc. It's such a weird, like nurse versus doc, sure. But it's a medical battle just for Joel Embiid's injuries at this point. It's a medical battle because they hurt Scotty Barnes in the first game of the series. It's been a medical battle all along. And we are going to win. And we're going to prove that the nurse knows how to outcoach the doc. And that's what's going to happen in the end. Teflon's here. He's saying, let's go Raps in 7. I love seeing those dinosaur emoticons. It's amazing. Rasta, you saying, laugh out loud. I'll take the nurse over the doc any day. Yes, Rasta, you're on fire today. I'm glad you're here. I hope you hit that red subscribe button and you join us every single day because we do this every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, every single day. We do this. All right, let's see what's going on here. Tom Duke saying, Arthur's another hangry Sixers fan. Yeah, let him be hangry or whatever. Does that mean he's hungry and he's angry at the same time? Go eat some food, Arthur Bowen. You must be hungry because you're delusional. You have low blood sugar because you think that you're going to beat us in Toronto tonight. You are delusional, Sixer fan. There's no way you all are going to win tonight. So go eat some food because then maybe you won't be so hangry, as we put it. Yeah, I like that. Mary Jane's here. I always love to see Mary Jane. We know this. We are winning this series. Philly won't even come close. I believe, Mary Jane. I believe. I'm with you. A random gamer saying, I missed the beginning of the stream. Who are the refs for tonight? Tonight we got Zach Zarba, Curtis Blair, and Bill Kennedy. The silky smooth tones of Bill Kennedy singing Luther Vandross at a karaoke night. He can really sing, y'all. I bet you money Bill Kennedy can sing real nice. You hear him when he comes to the mic for the challenge mic. He's like, the Raptors are challenging the call. And, he sounds like such a good delivery. So Bill Kennedy is one of my favorite refs. He historically has been very good to the Raptors. We have a good win percentage when Bill Kennedy's out there. Out of all the 20-year refs, we win when he's out there. Don't get me started about Tony Brothers' record. But, yeah, Bill Kennedy's a good one for us. Oh, yeah. Death 4K saying Joel only had 19 points game one, and 12 of them were free throws that were in the first quarter, cheap calls. For them to replicate this is like asking the heavens for a gift. Well, it might be that it has to be a little bit of a gift from the NBA refs to put him on the line over and over again and give him so many point and scoring opportunities that they might need that. But I don't think he'll get that in Toronto. And once again, I think he's washed as far as he's not just hurt with his hand. He's got problems with his legs. They're not talking about that part of it because you can see with your eyes that he's not moving around on the court as quick as he was in the first two games of the series. So, they can't set him up in some ways because he doesn't have the legs for it, is what I'm saying too. So I don't expect any kind of repeat of game one anymore in this series. That, the refs gave him a good advantage. They threw those 2 fouls on Fred VanVleet in the first minute of the game in game one, and that set the tone for that game. But no, that was basically giving us the Canadian discount, putting us at a disadvantage right away and making us have to come back on them. Was right away with that. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I agree with this, Death. I think it's very unlikely that will happen again. Tom Duke saying timestamp for ref report is, okay, you're giving them I'll say it over and over again. I don't care. But if you want to see the whole thing and what I said about it, it's there too. Death 4K saying people forget that this Sixers team was tied for first in the regular season. If we can actually win this series, it's not unrealistic to consider us dark horse contenders. Well, that's what people are saying because they saw what they saw on Monday. This is the thing. Our scheme, like I said, is transferable. It will work against the Sixers. It will work against most teams in the NBA. Positionless basketball is the future. And like I said the other day, we didn't just break the Sixers. We broke the whole fucking league. They got to all figure out how to deal with this at this point. Miami's going to be a real good test because they've got, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if we get Miami on Monday, starting on Monday, they're going to be a good test because they have way more experience than us. They have more veterans. They have they have a better bench, but we have a style of play that can fuck them up. And we proved it when we beat them in a triple overtime game earlier this season. So it's going to be very interesting. We got to beat Philadelphia first. But if we play Miami in the second round, I like our chances still. And I may sound crazy for saying that. And I may be Arthur Bowen says, you're delusional. This is Miami. It's Kyle. It's Jimmy Butler. It's Bam Adebayo. I don't give a shit. We got the Raptors, and they play some crazy-ass defense that's switching all over the place. And people don't know how to deal with that specifically. They really don't. They don't know how to deal with that yet because the NBA hasn't seen it fully yet. And we're starting to debut it on them is what's happening right now. I really love it. Yeah. And even Sean David of the Basketball Time Machine said this week that he thinks that we're dark horses too. He said it himself. All right, let's see. Seymour Pape saying, are you Dick Jefferson to Arthur Bowen? Hilarious. Mary Jane saying, Sixer fans are acting all jealous of the reps when they should be thankful for us spotting them 3 games. That's hilarious too. We call it the Canadian sweep, Mary Jane. We've made up a new term. It's when you give the other team a couple of games in the series and then you come back and sweep them out. And we've done that to a few teams in our history. It's Canadian sweep. So polite as a nation. We'll give a basketball team a couple wins and then sweep them out. The Canadian sweep. I love it. Click 2AM saying another thing Sixers don't understand about the atmosphere in tonight's game. Raptors fans have been depleted of intense playoff moments like this for 2 seasons. Time to show why we have the best fans. Oh, yeah, Click. I agree. This is going to show how bad Tampa really was. Our fans have an extra edge because of that. That's right. I've been saying this. We've been starved of playoff basketball because of this fucking pandemic. We had our team playing in Central Florida last year. There's all kinds of reasons why our fans need to come to correct tonight and really support the team in a way. Half the season we didn't have our fans even in the building and stuff like that. So we really need to come down there. And like I said, come down there early, get there early, and get loud right away. Don't wait for them to get a lead or anything. That get loud right away. And all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I really agree with this. And our fans are going to come correct tonight. I know it because they have the last couple games. And every game of this series, they've done a pretty good job. Other than like the 2:00 game, they were a little late in the lower bowl. But otherwise, it's been fantastic. And Jurassic Park has been A++ all around in all kinds of different ways. The people that have been in Jurassic Park are real ones. Trust me. They've been out there in the snow and in the rain. In really cold weather still. It's not like it's warmer out there in some ways. It's still pretty cold recently. And, they're standing out there in the middle of the snow watching the Raptors get beat by 20 in Philadelphia during game 2. That's dedication. Who wants to stand out in the snow like that and deal with that? That's fucked up. Nobody wants to do that. Seymour saying Doc sounds like his championship ring is stuck in his throat. Yeah. Yeah, that may be where he lost it. He's like, "Oh, where's my ring? Honey, where's my ring?" Oh. It's like, Mary Jane said, "Didn't we beat Miami in double overtime?" I thought it was like triple overtime or something like it. It was triple or double. I think it was triple overtime, actually, Mary Jane. Death 4K saying, Doc acts like he was a brother carried to that '08 ring. What? I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Listen, he had a super team in some ways. You have Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce. That's a real luxury, and that's a really good team. All right, guys, I'm right around 2 hours. I'm going to start wrapping this up. Kilimanjaro, good to see you. Glad you made it right at the end there. Once again, listen, I did the ref check. I did the injury report. I've done the keys to victory. I've done the real mascot matchup. Let me do my pep talk real quick. Listen, Raptors, you busted them open real good on Monday night. You fucked their nation up so bad that their fans are turning on them, walking out of the arena. You got their pundits and their media people not really very feeling good about their chances now for the rest of the series. You got ESPN talking heads saying Toronto's going to win the series in 7 all over the place. Yeah, but let's not get ahead and think that we have this in the bag. We need to do the work to get the exact thing that we want and what we're talking about. And we should get it because, listen, the writing's on the wall. Philadelphia has no answers for what we did to them on Monday. And y'all need to do exactly what you did with the full effort, switching and doing everything, getting after everything, and you will win. I will tell you right now, you will win. That's all you need to do is just play your game, be who you have been all year long, be true to yourselves, and you will find a way. I don't even care if y'all shoot shitty. If you shut them down and make sure you shut the water on all them, you play like a 5 OG Ananobis run around on the court on defense, and they can't score, they can't fucking shoot, then we will get enough baskets to beat them in the end. It could be the ugliest Eastern Conference style game, grind it out, defense, rebounding kind of shit, and we will get this game. It's just fundamentally, that is how basketball is played and won. And that's what we need to do. We need to stick to our guns and be who we are to the utmost once again. In the first couple of games of the series, they took our identity away from us. And that was a huge key for them being successful. Well, we are back to being who we are. And we need to be absolutely who we are in front of our home crowd tonight and give them a lot to cheer about and get loud about. And that's what's going to happen tonight. I fully predict this, that we will be going to Philadelphia on Saturday for a game 7 after tonight. But we got to get the work done tonight, Raptor fan nation and Raptor team. Let's see. Kilimanjaro saying Raptors just need to come out strong and fight like they have done for the past 3 games. I agree. Let's carbon copy Monday night and just apply it to tonight. It'll really work. Teflon saying shut down Maxey tonight. They will probably let him run point guard tonight. Yeah, whatever we can do. We've had good success against Tyrese Maxey in the last couple games. We need to continue it. All right, y'all. I'm going to get off the air now. I really appreciate all of you joining me this morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning with a reaction to the game, good or bad. Hopefully it'll be a really good reaction, and we can talk about all the great things that happened tonight. All right, let's go Raptors. We got to get game 6 in the 6. It's that easy and that what we need to do. And Charles and Shaq and them are going to be outside the arena with Jurassic Park tonight, and they're going to be bringing that energy and that hype. And everybody should come down there with that matching energy as fans. And I know these Raptors are going to do a good job. All right, y'all, like, comment, subscribe, share. If you know anybody else that might be interested in my stream, go ahead and share it with them. I love that. And I really appreciate y'all day in and day out being here with me. Let's go Raptors. Let's force game 7. We are wanting to get more games for our young players. We want to extend this series as long as we can, get this experience for our youngsters like Scotty Big Roy Barnes. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go